This episode is brought to you by Smitty's Beard Sauce. No beard required. Whether you're going with Smitty's Beard Scorcher, the Scotch Bonnet, the Ghost Pepper, or the Sweet and Spicy, just know this is the best damn barbecue sauce on either side of the Mississippi. Get yours at smittysbeardsauce.com. This episode is also brought to you by Nighthawk Footwear, the first and only gaiters equipped with lights in today's market. This, my friends, is a game changer for anyone that enjoys the outdoors. Light your path and get you a pair of lighted gaiters at lightedfootwear.com. What's going on, everybody? This is Ron Legal at Ron_Legal_Outdoors on another episode of Journeyman Outdoors. This is episode 6, and I got a very special guest, good friend of mine, Trevor Whitman here. Introduce yourself there, Trevor.
What's going on, everybody?
Trevor and I, small world. He actually came into my company. He's a very good customer of my company that I work for, and one day he came in, I noticed the camo, he noticed the camo, and we just, what do you hunt? What do you hunt? And we just went from there pretty much. But what a lot of people don't know is we're going to kick off Trevor's story here. He is a fucking badass local that knows how to catch some bass. This man could freaking hit any lake in the state of Florida and freaking produce some numbers. He's got the pictures to prove it. So, Trevor, tell us how you got into bass fishing, man. Where did that all kick off from?
Well, man, I was, my family's always been outdoorsmen in my journey. So, my grandpa, he always hunted and fished, and that's what he did. And then, obviously, my dad and my uncle took over after him. But my grandpa was more of a hunter than anything. He's going to Georgia every week and going to kill some deer or whatever in Georgia.
Yeah.
So, but my dad really got into the fishing. I mean, he'd just go out to any canal and just catch as many fish as he could and come back home and eat them. That's what he used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
Times were tough, so they didn't have much. So he'd go out and go to a canal, catch some fish, and bring them home. He told me, he's like, man, I used to bring home 10-pounders and eat them.
you hear about those stories and you're like, what? Somebody would throw that off the wall if they catch it down in today's age.
Oh yeah, he's like, you should have been born the other time. He's like, you're born in the wrong time to go fishing. And I'm like, hey, I'm happy to be here. That's all.
Yeah. You got to work with what you got, right?
Yeah. So my dad's the one that got me into fishing. I mean, he taught me how to fish. He always had a boat, so I always went out to the lake. Because he was a tournament angler. He's the one who got me into fishing tournaments and stuff like that. So that's how he got me into tournaments. That's how I got into it, and then I just fell in love with it. There's not a better feeling in the world than a bass eating a hook.
Yeah, I could relate, man. My grandfather kicked me off with fishing. It started with saltwater for me, but I mean, any lake, any body of water that we could find when I was little. I started at 3 years old under Singer Island Bridge. He gave me a shrimp and a I think it was like a Toy Story rod or something like that. And I caught my first snapper under that bridge, and I was literally just hooked after that moment. And we lived close to the Singer Island Bridge over there in Riviera Beach, so it was a little convenient. But once we moved more out west here towards like Royal Palm, Wellington area, it became nothing but lake fishing. And he grew up in Nicaragua, so he was on the east coast of Nicaragua, so there was a lot of saltwater fishing too, but he would go into the jungle for weeks at a time and just live off the land. He was very primitive, and he would just go and fish those freshwater lakes. So
yeah,
fishing freshwater lakes here to him was like, it's like just another day. So teaching me was very, very easy for him, but very frustrating for me as a kid because, he's like... We didn't have too much back then. He was like, here's a stick from the yard. Here's some yarn. He made a hook out of, it was a soda can top basically molded into a hook, and I used to catch little brim and freaking bluegill, all kinds of stuff on stuff like that before I started getting like real fishing tackle. So everybody starts somewhere, man. I could say one thing, it's not about the gear, it's about just what you can make work when it comes to fishing.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm really fortunate because my dad was such a bass fisherman that he just got me into bass fishing. I didn't go from bluegills to, go up this chain.
Yeah.
I just went straight to bass.
Yeah.
So he'd go out, again, I don't know, 2-3 years old. Here's some shiners. Throw out a shiner for me. And then, oh, you got a bite, bob or whatever. And then eventually you grow into, I want to try using live bait because my dad always had fishing poles. And every weekend he's fishing tournament. So I'd help him, hold the fishing line for him and, rig up with him what I could at the time. So I'd always wanted to get into it and see what it was like. And then I think I was like 8 or 9. We fished my first tournament and we ended up winning. We had like 22 pounds or something like that.
What lake were you guys fishing back
Lake
then?
Osborne.
Nice. Lake Osborne is a hell of a lake if you know what you're doing, because there's a lot of deep holes out there and then there's a lot of skinny holes that you could get into, but there's some good fishing out there.
Yeah, that's so long ago, man.
Yeah.
It's definitely, that really hooked me on tournament. Your first tournament ever and you win first place. I mean,
it's hard to come down from that high.
Exactly. So that just motivated me to go into more. And I can't say that was my first tournament because we always did the little kid tournament.
Yeah.
That they do in Avon, but you had live bait. So
yeah, it's a little different.
It's different, especially when you're fishing from a boat versus land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to put in some effort. You got to actually do a little bit of work.
Exactly.
So after that first tournament you guys won, it was pretty much downhill from there. You were hooked, I'm sure. You're like I said, it was hard to come down from that high, man. What was the prize for that tournament?
I think like $300 or $400. I have no idea. I didn't even care about the prize.
Hey,
there was no trophy. There was just me being able to just, I guess, catch fish and actually contribute.
Right.
And then obviously, I'm a very competitive person. I was competitive as a kid, and that's also my dad's very competitive. So every time we go fishing, I mean, it didn't matter if we're fun fishing, whatever. It's like, let's say if he caught 10 fish and I caught 8, I beat you today.
Yeah.
I'm an 8-year-old kid.
It was even competition on the boat, same team.
Yeah, same team, competition on the boat. Oh, I bet you I catch more fish than you. And it just makes us fish harder.
Yeah.
That's how we fish. I mean, we've gotten better now. And I've taken people fishing and they're like, dude, why you got to be so competitive? I'm like, I've grew into it. That's how I'm raised.
Yeah.
Just competitive person. That's how I am. I'm competitive in everything. It's a good thing to do.
That's a good trait to have for sure. It keeps it interesting at all times. So after that first tournament, $300-$400 back then was a lot of money. Did you guys use it towards any gear to go on to the next tournament, or what'd you guys do with the winnings?
Yeah, I had ugly sticks at the time.
Hey,
so
I've had plenty of ugly sticks in my life. They get the job done.
Yeah, for sure. But so I had ugly sticks and I ended up losing a big one that day because my dad, so I was throwing 8-pound test with a Cinco, just a weightless Cinco, and ended up hooking like a 4 or 5 pounder. And, he's used to fishing on the Lake Okeechobee with braid, so he'd grab the line and just pull him closer to the boat. Well, he grabbed an 8-pound test with a 5-pound fish, breaks off. So, and I freaking yelled, I'm like, you just cost us the tournament, because the whole time we're fishing, he's like, dude, we just need one more good one, and we'll have this thing for sure won. Because we had 2 7s, another one close to 4.5, and then a 2-pounder and another 3-pounder. Like, we needed one more good one to have.
To be 100% sure. This is in the bag.
Because there was some good bags being caught at the time. I remember that. But I was like, we might catch 28, 29 today. I was like, okay, well, I don't know what that is at the time, but looking back now, that was a good bag back in the day.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Compared to now, it's definitely a lot slower.
Yeah. especially now with all the peacocks and Osborne and stuff. But
Yeah,
it's a cool place still.
Yeah, I was gonna say back then it was probably just majority bass, but now we got so many invasive fish down here. We got snakeheads, we got the peacocks, we got the freaking jaguars, all kinds of just different invasive fish, just
exactly
wrecking the natives.
Yeah, I mean it sucks, but it's also fun to go catch invasives, and sometimes it gives you a chance to take a break from bass fishing too, because there are times in what I've done in bass fishing, because I'm bass fishing almost every weekend when it's not hunting season.
Right.
So it's just like hard, just bass, and then all of a sudden, just there you get those times where you just like, I can't catch a bass to save my life. I tried this, I tried that, I can't catch them.
Yeah.
So then finally, you're just like, man, I got to do something different. I got to get a change of scenery. So then you just go to Osborne and pick up a jerkbait. And go, oh, I'm catching peacocks every cast.
Yeah.
And then you catch the bass, and you go back to bass fishing. You do the same things you were doing. You catch 20 pounds. Your whole attitude is different.
Right. Yeah, you gain that confidence back.
Exactly. It's all about confidence, I think, in fishing.
When it comes to those invasive fish, like for the people that are in different states, like snakeheads, peacocks, things like that, those are very aggressive fish. It doesn't take much to entice them to go and eat a bait. So, yeah, when you're in a bass slump and, things just aren't going your way, it's refreshing to go out there and slay some peacocks or some snakeheads or some clown knives, things like that, which are a little bit harder to catch. But when you catch them, it's like, damn, That's like that white elephant in the room, just a rare sight to see.
Exactly. I mean, and they fight hard too. I mean,
yeah, it's a good fight.
People say bass don't fight. They've obviously never hooked a bass on a microlight rod or something like that. But peacocks and stuff, they'd have that quick fight, and they got that tail. They just keep pulling.
Yeah,
cichlids too. Cichlids fight too. But I mean, I just love them bass, man.
Yeah.
It's in my brain, I got to go out and catch a fish. I got to go out and catch a bass and hopefully win a tournament. I mean, that's what I like to do.
Yeah. I know when me and my son go fishing and stuff and we get into a bass slump, I'll go in, I'll put him on a flower horn. I mean, those damn things, those cichlids, they just dig. They just dig and put up a good fight. So, I mean, it's like at least he gets a little bit of action.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, if you're going to take a kid fishing, get them on some, down here for sure, but if you're going to take a kid fishing, get him on some cichlids, because them things always bite.
Oh, yeah, for
They
sure.
never stop. I mean, a beetle spin or something like that.
Something simple.
Exactly. It's going to be, beetle spin's so great because it'll catch a crappie, it'll catch bass, bluegills, it'll catch everything. I mean, them cichlids, they love a beetle spin. And put them on a microlight and just let that kid just go to work. Oh, I got a fish.
No, they'll be hooked for life. I mean, I think people much rather have their kids hooked on freaking fishing than drugs or something else further down the road. You get them put into an expensive hobby like this, they'll have no room to get into stuff like that.
Hell no. That's what my dad told my mom when I was like 10 years old. He's like, well, we never have to worry about him doing cocaine, but might have to worry about him stealing the credit card and putting in an order for Tackle Warehouse.
That's a much better problem to worry about than freaking drugs, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, it's definitely.
So on the topic of tackle, what is your ideal tackle to just go out there and catch them on? Do you like catching them on microlights? Do you like medium, heavy? Well, what's your fun go-to? I should say, not tournament fishing, where you have to be too serious, but like, what if you're just walking out of the house and you're looking to just pick up a rod? What would you recommend to someone?
To someone that's like never done it before?
Yeah, just brand new.
Brand new to fishing. If they went out in the lake and they got a boat or whatever and they just brand new?
Yeah, they just wanted to get out there and just put some fish in the boat.
Oh, that's pretty easy. I mean, I tell them throw a Cinco, weightless Cinco. I mean, you're always going to catch fish on a Cinco.
Yeah.
It's an easy bait. It's not nothing crazy. It's not hard. And I always recommend the new fishermen throw a worm to get a feel for what it feels like, and get a feel for that bottom, get a feel for that bite.
Right.
Once you get a feel for that bite, then you can get into throwing other things like chatter baits, rattle traps, swim jigs, stuff like that. But you got to get a feel for the bite. A worm is just a great go-to bait. it's always going to get bit, no matter the condition. So, I mean, people who live up north, up in, 28, 29, ice fishing weather, they're freaking throwing little wax worms on there. I mean,
Yeah.
they get bit. They're throwing wax worms, catching bass on them. I mean, on a little jig head. Then you got guys down here in 70, 80-degree water that are catching 30 pounds on Cincos. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to catch fish. Cinco or any kind of worm, if you're going to spend the money. And I'm going to recommend to anybody who does get into fishing, please make sure that you go out with someone who knows what they're doing, or even reach out to people on Instagram. If you don't know, if you're not sure about fishing and you just want to try it out, you didn't get raised up in it like, most of us did, like you or me did, try to reach out to someone and just ask them for their opinion.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask them to go fish with you. Just say, "Hey man, I want to get into fishing. What would you recommend I do with my state of area?" Like if you live in Alabama, you say, "Hey man, I got a boat. I've always been like a pleasure boater, but I want to get into fishing. What can I do?" And they'll tell you like, "Dude, you can do this, this, this." And if you reach out to people and they don't say anything, who cares? Go to the next guy.
Yeah.
Eventually, someone's going to respond and say, "Yeah, man." I mean, the fishing community, yeah, we do keep secrets from each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as long as you're not asking for like specific spots, more than likely a fisherman, fisherwoman, whatever the case may be, is more than willing to help you out. They're more so on the side of encouraging people to continue keeping the sport alive, because I feel like you have MLF, you have Bass, you have all these other tournaments and stuff like that, but you hear people talking about other sports more than the outdoor sports. So they're more than willing to keep this for generations to come, to spread that knowledge.
Because, I mean, the guy who never fished a day in his life, if he gets into fishing and he has kids, that kid's going to get into fishing because he likes fishing. I mean,
Right.
And if you don't like fishing, there's other things and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with you hating fishing. But unless you're my brother. But
that you could rag on him a little bit.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
But other than that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with not liking fishing. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's supposed to like it. I mean, we do live in a free country, so it's not, if you hate it, props to you. But if for the person who does like it, I just highly recommend that you get on Instagram or get on Facebook, wherever. Even make a Facebook post or an Instagram post that, "Hey man, I'm new to fishing. I don't know what to do." There's a girl on Instagram, I forget her name, and she got into fishing. And that's all she does. She just says, "Oh, I throw this bait and that bait, and people say recommend this bait or that bait." She's got a YouTube channel on it, and she just goes fishing. I forget her name. I'd have to look her up, but I know that's what she does, and she catches fish and she likes it, and she documents what she does, and it's really good. And people, when you just look at the comments, they're like, "Oh, try a rattle trap," or "Try this bait," and it's just tips that help you out.
Yeah.
And the more you get into fishing, the more complicated it gets.
Oh, yeah.
You got to start somewhere. And for people who are sitting there, listening or not sure what to do, I just recommend just try it at least once.
Yeah, for sure.
Same thing with hunting. If you want to get into hunting, make sure you have all your licenses and everything for hunting.
Yeah, get legal.
Yep, get legal. And just, if you're not sure, make sure you look up your rules, your WMA rules, all that stuff, and make sure that you reach out to people. If you're not sure if you want to do something, reach out to the people and say, "Hey man, I'm getting into hunting. I'm not sure what to do, And if you're going to go hunting, I don't recommend deer hunting off the rep.
Yeah.
I recommend like wing shooting or something like that. Something where you're going to shoot at something.
Yeah.
If you go deer hunting, I'm telling you, you're going to quit quick. If you jump right into deer hunting, you're going to quit so quick.
Yeah, it's just like getting back into fishing. You got to be very patient with fishing.
Yep.
Some days the bite's just not on. Some days you're in water conditions that may not be up to par, and the fish just aren't hitting that day. Deer, same thing. I mean, there's so many, without getting too scientific with it, there's a bunch of variables that go on to deer hunting, and that you just can't guarantee a day out there.
Exactly. I mean, deer hunting is just one way. Deer hunting is another thing, especially down here. Deer hunting is tough. It's a tough thing to do sometimes. Sometimes there's days where I just wake up and I'm like, dude, I'm not going deer hunting.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it. I don't feel like walking out there right now. I don't feel like getting bit by mosquitoes today. No. I'm not feeling it. And then those are the days where they kill the most deer. I mean,
Yeah.
but you got to put the head down. You got to have the patience and the attitude to do it. Fishing's the same way. Fishing, you got to go out there and you got to say, tournament fishing especially, you got to sit there and go, yeah, I need to sit here all day. I caught 1 4-pounder this morning. I need to sit here all day and just fish. That's all you can do.
Even if it's a 1-day tournament, some tournaments stretch out over the course of a couple days, but even if it's a 1 day, if something's not working for you in the morning, you're going to try to freaking move around and figure out what you're going to try to find out what is working. What am I doing wrong? So the next time you get out there, you have some kind of idea to work off of.
Yeah. I mean, every time I go out, I'm always learning something. I'm learning something about it. And that to me is fun. And then, sometimes there's days where I don't catch any fish and I learn that sometimes I suck at fishing. But the whole goal is to learn something about fishing. It's always the goal to learn something new. Like this past weekend, I went to Harris Chain for the first time. Never fished a day in my life. Had 1 day of practice. I fished in Bouclair the first day. Ended up catching, I think, like 11 pounds. Really, I had some more bigger fish, but it was a 2-day tournament. So I was trying to save off on them and just go in there. I made like 1 or 2 passes through there. Ended up catching a 4-pounder. And that's just bumped me up a little bit, but I soon realized that there's people catching fish in another lake of the thing. So
Harris Chain is huge.
Yeah, Harris Chain is big, and the thing that screwed me up on that day was there was 7 boats sitting on top of the spot that I wanted to fish, so I couldn't get there in time.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? I got to put all my eggs in the basket and just go with what I can do, and ended up going to the new lake I've never fished before in my life, and I caught 17.5 pounds. I ended up getting 4th place overall. I went from 6th to 4th. I mean,
nice. Yeah. See, it could turn around in the blink of an eye, man. You just got to be a little bit patient and just got to figure out, what the hell is working. It could be 1 day, it could be a worm. The next day, it could be a chatterbait. You got to do a lots of trial and error when it comes to fishing.
Exactly. I mean, it's a lot there's so much that goes in, especially bassers. And I mean, I can't speak for any other kind of fishing, like I guess musky fishing or pike fishing or walleye fishing, but I can speak for bass, and bass are very, very complicated fish. They are, I honestly don't think there's enough science behind bass as, we do with like sharks and stuff.
Yeah.
But bass are definitely a certain breed of fish that are really overlooked in the world of fish.
Man, what a lot of people don't realize is there's so many different bass species, and each one reacts a little bit different. You have the spotted bass, you got just all types of different species out there that just react completely different.
Yeah, you got white bass. White bass are probably one of the most aggressive bass on the planet. You got the sunshine bass, also known as wiper bass up north. They're just a white bass and a striper mix. I mean,
yeah.
And stripers live in saltwater, but you mix a white bass with a striper, and it lives in freshwater. And it's crazy that how aggressive they are as fish. The white bass are insanely aggressive. When you find the school of white bass, you can just take a rattle trap and freaking catch 2 at a time.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And then you have, spotted bass are aggressive too. They're really mean. They're a mean fish. Them little bastards are mean. But largemouth bass are more laid back. They're more the lazier bass, I'd say. Smallmouth, they can get mean. They're really violent. They remind me of peacocks almost.
Yeah.
From what I hear, I haven't caught one, but I hear that they're really, really violent like peacocks.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of bass tournaments up north through the Bassmaster Classics and stuff like that, and those little things hit, man. They're some fat little footballs, as they call them, but they're aggressive.
Yeah, they seem aggressive. I mean, I don't know of a bass that can jump 6 feet out of the water going straight up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I've seen largemouth do it, but them things do it constantly, just
Yep.
right up.
Free Willy.
Yeah, exactly.
So down here we have lots of different environment to venture into when it comes to bass fishing. You have grass beds, you have ledges, you have deep holes. You've got banks, just cleared out banks. We got a couple areas that are rock. I know when you get into like western places like Arizona, California, even like Guntersville and a couple other states, they have like a lot of rock formations and stuff that you could fish. What is so when it comes to choosing a bait, how do you go about, where's your mind at? Like, say you pull up on a grass bed, where's your mind at as far as what should I throw? Like, if somebody's just walking a bank and they're casting into a grass bed, what would you recommend?
Again, the worm is really good because the worm doesn't get hung up as much. But if you're a little bit more of an experienced angler, I'd throw a moving bait like a swim jig or a chatterbait if you have the patience for it, because that chatterbait is going to get hung up. And some of the things you can do is just rip it through the grasses and try to keep it above the grasses if you can. And I mean, if I'm pulling up on a grass bed, I'm gonna throw a moving bait first. I don't care where I'm going. I'm gonna throw a moving bait, try to cover as much water as I can, any body of water I approach. And if I realize that within the first 30, 40, 50 minutes, however I feel confident, I'm going to say, okay, I need to change up this bait, maybe go to a slower bait, or maybe go a bait that doesn't have this much action or vibration, or like a swim jig is really good bait 'cause it's just a bait that rolls and swims.
Yeah, and it could punch through some pretty thick stuff.
And it doesn't get hung up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great bait, and it can be thrown on braid. I mean, chatterbait can be thrown on braid too, but I don't like the vibration of that braid going back and forth. But there's some people that do, and some people that have problems with it. Me personally, I have problems with it, so I throw it on fluoro, and sometimes that fluoro is not fun to hook a fish in.
Yeah. It's stiff. It's like hitting a brick wall when they hit that.
Yeah, and then you got an 8-pounder on. You're like, oh boy, I got to try to get this thing in with 8-pound test. Definitely gets the adrenaline pumping for sure.
Yeah. So, talking about tests and stuff like that, do you like going the leader route, or do you like going like full fluoro on a reel, full monofilament, full braid, or do you like mixing it up and tossing a leader, like say on like fluoro on a braid?
It depends. I mean, down here, I'm always going full. But if like I pick up a spin pole with like a wacky worm or something and I'm
Yeah.
bed fishing, then I'm gonna throw on a leader. Usually that's the only thing I throw leaders on is with like spinning rods for sure. But sometimes I'll do it once in a blue moon for my bait caster. If I'm just like, sometimes I have specific rods for specific things. And let's say I go out fishing, I'm on a flipping bite, and one of my medium heavies are rigged up with like, I don't know, a little jig or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I need to change that bait up to this bait. So let me take the leader from my worm rod that's in the box and freaking cut off that leader and put it on a chatterbait or something. Something like that would help. But I rarely do that. I just stick full. I prefer full because I have so many fishing rods. Like, I can pick every rod and go through my box and just be like, oh boy. Some people would see it and they go, you're insane. I'm like, if that makes me insane, I'll take it. But yeah, I usually go full because I have so many rods. I can just pick out which rod I want for this, which rod I want for that.
Yeah, when it comes to tournament fishing, for those people that aren't familiar with it, you want to have a lot of setups.
Yeah.
Time is crucial. You can't be out there rigging up any rods. I mean, worst case, you get broken off on something real good and you only had one rod rigged that way and you have to rig it back up because something was working, then sure. But
yeah,
most of the time you're just swapping and going if you're trying to change it up and try something new.
Yeah, I mean, usually when I go out on tournament day, if I don't know what exactly they're biting, there's 8 rods on deck. 8 rods on deck, all rigged up with something different.
Yeah.
And like, people say, oh, why do you have so many rods? Well, I have 4 flipping rods. And 2 of them are the same thing. One's rigged up with 1.5 ounces. The other one's rigged up with 1.25 ounces. This one's rigged up with a 3/4. This one's rigged up with a 1/2 ounce. And people go, Why do you need so many? Well, they're not eating. If that ounce and a half is not working, I'm going to the ounce and I'm going to the half ounce. That half ounce ain't working, I'm going to 3/4. I'm just going to go down the line and pick through until I get a bite.
Yeah.
Or if I don't get a bite, I'm changing to a chatterbait, or I'm changing to a rattle trap, or I'm changing to a speed worm, or something like that. That's where the setups really come into play. And I know guys that go out fishing with 12 rods on deck, and they'll have 8 rods that they have mainly, and then the other 4 are their main backups. Like
Right.
if they're good at throwing a swim jig, they'll have another swim jig tied on with the same exact thing, same exact color, or they'll have a worm tied on, a weightless worm with another weightless worm on it, or a rattle trap tied on with another rattle trap. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. And we bass fish and we get crazy with all our rod selections.
Yeah, we do.
But sometimes it can be a little too much, and, sometimes simpling down is best. But, as a bass fisherman and as a tournament fisherman, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
You just want to try to, especially when you go in the boat ramp in the morning, you're sitting there, you're all anched up, and you're sitting at the dock, and all of a sudden you hear so-and-so go, yeah, I caught him on a jig the other day, but I think it was a fluke. Oh, man, I got to go on box pick up a jig right now.
Yeah. It's just that little bit of word of mouth. Fishermen love telling tales. At the dock, you hear all kinds of stuff on a tournament day, especially if it's a multi-day tournament.
Oh, yeah. Multi-day especially. You show up there and everybody's talking, and you're obviously going to book a hotel room or something on a 2-day. So you're sitting there and you're all hanging out, and you're like, dude, how'd you catch fish today? And they're like, man, I caught them throwing a spinner bait. Oh, okay. And all of a sudden they walk away. I'm bring me up a spinner bait real quick. I'm gonna ring me up a spinner bait real quick. Hold on.
So for those people at home, walk us through a typical tournament day. Like, how does start us from the beginning? You're at home, haven't even made it to day one, the spot. Like, walk us through it.
So you're gonna get up you're gonna be up the night before till about 9 p.m. depending on what time you get back from work. You're gonna be up. I don't care who you are. You're gonna be up that late, and you're gonna have to go to bed. You got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you're up at 9. You're rigging up rods. You got all your rods rigged up, making sure, checking all your knots, all your stuff, make sure everything's spooled up with line. And then you're gonna go through and you're going to make sure everything in your boat's ready to go. Got all your life jackets, all your stuff that you need for the tournament. Then you're going to go in your room or in your house, eat dinner, whatever it is. Then get all your clothes ready the night before. Make sure everything's all nice and packed. Get all your wallet, everything, keys, everything together. Wake up at 4 o'clock. Go to bed around 10 if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. Get in the truck. Wake up at 3, 4 o'clock. Depending on how far you are, get in the truck, drive to the gas station, get some gas in the morning, and stop, get your freaking breakfast burrito or whatever freaking greasy food you can find. Get to the spot, pay your entry fee if you didn't pay it the night beforehand. Pay your entry fee, maybe stop in the tackle store, maybe go to the bathroom if you have to. Then put your boat in the water. Back it up, and then sit there and get ate up by mosquitoes.
Especially down here in Florida.
Get ate up by mosquitoes. Pull out your can of off, spray down with off. Usually they go away, and then go over and wait to be your number to be called, and then take off and go fishing to wherever your spot you go to. Whatever your first go-to spot is.
So how does for like a typical tournament, how does the number selection work? Like how do you know what boat's gonna be, who's gonna be first, pretty much?
It's usually random. I mean, boat selection, when you go into a tournament, if it's a big tournament, they're gonna just put you in a random computer generator, and it's gonna be selective, name, whatever. So like, let's say Ron's fishing tournament, he put in at the last minute, but he's still boat number 1 because he got in the random selection.
Right.
I've seen guys do that, and it's like, dude, I put in that first, and I got freaking last boat.
Which is not the guy you want to be.
No, there's guys that put in last minute, and they get, 4 or 5, and then I put in pretty early. I always like put in early, that way I can pay my entry fee quick and make sure everything's good in case anything goes wrong. They can fix it and say, yeah, he was in it this time.
Right.
I don't like doing them last minute because there's a lot of things that tend to go wrong. Because I know a lot of guys that wait last minute for their paycheck to hit and then put in. and then they ram the system, and that system just screws up a lot. So that's why I don't like putting in last minute, but there are guys that do it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's always random. But for smaller tournaments, usually, 8, 9, 10 boat tournaments are like,
Oh, yeah.
they're just whoever got here first.
Line up and go.
First come, first serve, line up and go. Make sure you can maintain safety, life jacket, all that stuff, and you're good to go.
So, all right, you leave the dock, you're shooting to your first spot. You finally get there. What are you doing next?
I'm pulling out my rods. My rods are always put away.
What are you tossing first thing in first light? Because that's typically when the tournaments start.
Yep, I'm tossing the moving bait. I'm gonna look around and toss a moving bait unless there is some circumstance where I went fishing last week or the day before and I figured out they're actually eating a slower bait or they're eating this bait. I'm usually gonna pull out a moving bait, something like a spinner bait, rattle trap, chatterbait, something like that. Something moving, something to cover me some water and just get a feel for how the fish, what kind of mood the fish are in. That's what's nice about a moving bait is that you'll get a feel for how the fish are reacting to baits.
Right.
If they're not eating the moving bait, then you can go, okay, they want something slower. But if they're eating the moving bait, you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep throwing this thing and see if I can pick up a big one. Or if I can't pick up a big one, let me pick up a bigger moving bait, maybe a glide bait or something like that, and see if I can get them to eat that. Just something to get that bigger bite for tournament day.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Because that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for a bunch of fish. You're looking for 5 big ones.
Yeah, you're just trying to get on the board.
Exactly.
First thing in the morning.
And first thing in the morning down here is usually when they bite good. You can catch them good first thing in the morning. And there are times where they don't bite good in the morning, but that's pretty rare. I hear a lot of guys come to the boat and make, dude, I caught these fish before 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
or I caught these fish before 7 o'clock, and I'm sitting there going, there's days I'm like, I can't get a bite this morning. And they show up, yeah, I caught these fish before 9 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, it must have been nice. But then I've been that guy too.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
You just never know what it's going to be like. As an example, it wasn't last week. The week before, Jacob Wheeler, day 1, 80 pounds.
Yep.
80-something pounds. Makes it to the final round. Ends up losing to a Florida native.
Bobby Lane. Yep, I watched that tournament hard because I was literally the week before my tournament to Harris Chain. So I was watching that sucker all day long. I mean, I'm driving. I can just listen to the radio because I got it hooked up Bluetooth. I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Oh, Bobby Lane's over here on this leg. Okay. Oh, Jake Weir's over here on this leg. Oh, Mark Davis over here on that leg. I'm just trying to figure out what lakes they're on and figure out where they're at. So
they were fishing the exact same lake too. I forgot about that.
I was just trying to figure out what lake they were fishing and trying to figure out what's my best way to get there because I took off that Friday and I sat there the night before going through looking at all the ways to get to those lakes and everything. So I was trying to do my research as much as I could.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get any info, but we could get public info.
Yeah. You can't hide from the camera.
Exactly.
I see what you're throwing.
Exactly. If everybody can get it, it's equal info.
It brings up something else somebody asked me one time after I did a tournament. They were like, so when do you get a chance to relax? You don't. When you're tournament fishing, when
it's over.
Yeah, when it's over, that's it. Once that bell rings or you're at the freaking weigh-ins, that's when you finally get to relax. But there is no time off. Like I said before, time is crucial, and you got to make use of every single second that you have out there.
Sometimes it's like a job. I mean, sometimes it's like a job where you're just like, dude, I just want this day to be over. And then you're like, dude, I haven't caught a fish yet. I'm just going to get skunked. I'm okay with it. This day just sucks. It's 1 o'clock. Weigh-in's at 2 o'clock. Ain't no way I'm going to catch a fish. And all of a sudden, boom.
8-pounder.
Oh, there's a 6. Oh, throw out there, dude. Oh, there's another 5. Oh, there's a 4. Oh, there's a 3.
Yeah, it changes your whole attitude.
And you're like, dude, we got to keep fishing. Oh, man, it's freaking 1:30. We got to go. That's how it goes sometimes. Yeah,
but like I said, you don't really get a chance to relax. Jacob Wheeler couldn't relax. I mean, he caught that 80-pound bag, and then it came time to the final round, and you got to fish your ass off because you don't know what those guys are catching out there.
Well, that's what's crazy is, MLF is such a great freaking what would you call it? Fishing
Series.
series
Yeah.
because of the actual catch, weigh, release.
Yep.
It is so easy.
I
because
love that.
It is the best thing ever because those fish, if they're spawning on beds, them big females that they catch,
They're going right back.
Exactly. And that's one of the problems in tournament fishing with us is that, yes, we fish tournaments and yes, we're all guilty of it that fish tournaments, but we really do tend to kill some fisheries.
Yeah.
Because too many tournaments will kill them. I mean, you got to think about it. You catch an 8-pounder off a bed, she's spawning, she's full of eggs, and you put her in the live well, so you catch her at 9 o'clock. She's been in that well, weigh-ins at 3. She's been in that well, stressed out in a little box.
Yeah.
And then she's got 5 gallons to herself because she's got 5 other fish in there.
Yeah.
If she doesn't die, she gets released, she's either going to take up those eggs like they do for protein, or just not spawn at all.
Yep.
That's what they do. They're not going to spawn. They're just going to take them up, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the way MLF does it. I know bass is a little bit different. I know some of the MLF series are a little bit different in the smaller tournaments that they do because they have freaking 5-6 different series that go on in LMF. But the pros, the way that they have their tournament set up, I'm a big fan of that because it's like you said, it's just catch, release, and go. That bass is going right back to where it came from. It may not sit there, it may not eat for the next man that comes up on it, but at least it was a healthy release. Everything was done quick. It was a quick transaction is the best way I could put
Exactly. You catch the fish, she's on a bed, there's possibly a male down there. She can now go down there, lay her eggs, and the male can come across and fertilize them. And even if you catch her and she's not that stressed out, as long as you don't sit there and take 2 million pictures with her and keep holding her straight up and down. I mean, I know with me, at least for me, if I catch a big bass when she's on a bed, I'll catch her, take a picture, let her go. That's how fast I do it. It's in the matter of maybe 2 minutes of her out of the water.
Yeah, because you have that in the back of your mind.
Exactly. I mean,
the consequences of what taking too much time with her will end up having.
You want these fish, as bass fishermen, we want these fish to go back and we want these fish to grow, especially an 8-pounder. An 8-pounder is rare.
Yeah.
I don't care where you go. A 10-pounder, I think, the 10-pounder is actually a 1 in a million spawn because they have to have the right genetics and be able to survive that long. So an 8-pounder is only 2 pounds away from a 10-pounder. So an 8-pounder by itself is rare. And that's the thing is that people don't understand is that how rare an 8-pound fish is. I mean, 5-pounders are pretty common, but an 8-pound bass or a 10-pound bass, you need those genetics to go.
Listen, my personal best still to this day, Lake Okeechobee. We're talking 2000. I want to say 2010 or 2011. It was around that time. 8 pounds, 3 ounces. People go and they're like, "Oh, I've caught a 10-pounder, an 11-pounder, blah blah." I'm like, I don't give a damn. That is the fish of a lifetime for me. I'm still obviously trying to beat it because I'm a competitive fisherman too. You always want to one up and get your new personal best, but to me, that's still a damn good bass.
Yeah, I think it was 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I caught 2 in 2 days.
2 8-pounders?
Yep. In tournament too. It was kind of crazy.
I've caught 2 7-pounders back to back. I've never caught an 8-pounder and then another 8-pounder or anything above an 8-pound, 3 ounces.
I didn't catch them back to back. It was crazy, dude. I had a pretty bad day, a pretty shitty day, to be honest with you. My boat wasn't running right. I was having motor issues. I got to the first spot, and there was already 3 guys in there. And I was like, dude, they're just fun fishing. They weren't even fishing tournament. I was like, dude, I was just like, just in one of those moods, I just like, oh, well, let me just fish.
Yeah.
And I'm fishing I'm fishing in 1.5 foot of water. There's fish moving everywhere, and all of a sudden some dude comes in there just right through the spot, right in front of me, shuts down. I get pissed off. I'm like, screw this. I go out, and my dad called me. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, nothing. I'm trolling her out here. Go catch fish. Go somewhere else. He goes, well, come out here with me. I'm catching fish. I'm like, all right, whatever. Start trolling her out. My trolling her quit. I'm like, oh, my God.
I've been there before.
And I'm like, dude. this is just bad.
One thing after another after another.
So then I'm like, screw it. And I just went, and he's out there in wide open water. And so I'm like, I'll just drift with the wind, whatever. I don't care. Just put the trolling motor up. I started drifting with the wind, caught a few fish, caught like a 4-pounder, whatever. And I started catching 5, and it wasn't until like 12 o'clock, because that was first thing in the morning. It wasn't until like 12 o'clock. My buddy's out there fishing. And he's really good with wiring and stuff. And he had all the stuff. I knew he had the stuff to do it. So he's like, hey, man, I need help. He goes, what's up? I said, my damn trolling motor ain't working. He goes, you check connections? I'm like, dude, I've checked connections. I've done everything I can. I said, but I don't have wires, and strippers should really, really check them.
Right.
He goes, all right. He says, let me see what I can do. Jumps on the boat, hooked up to me. Then we had it, we jerry-rigged it for, just for the day, and got it working to where I could use it. And then, again, I only had like 10 pounds all day long. And it wasn't, and our weigh-in was at 3:30 because we had a fog delay. And at 3:15, I caught an 8-pounder.
Nice.
I caught an 8-pounder at 3:15. I was like, and the whole time, throughout the whole day, I'm like, dude, I just need to catch me at least one big one, just to have a chance. And I was watching everybody around me just catching big fish. I'm like, anytime now, I'm going to catch a big one. I just knew to just stay there because everybody's catching fish. Everybody was just catching fish. It was a crazy day. There was like 4 fish over 10 pounds weighed in that day. One of the dudes in our club caught a 10.71. And then on the north end, there was another tournament. They had 2 fish over 10. One dude caught an 11. I mean, it was a crazy day. I caught an 8. Another dude in our club had a 7. My dad had a 7. And that dude obviously had 1 over 10. He also had no 1 over 6. Dude, there was some big bass caught that day.
That was over there on Harris?
No, that was on Okeechobee.
No.
That was insane.
Yeah, the fishing's been getting a lot better on Lake Okeechobee as the time's been going on.
Yeah, people say that, but it's died down right now.
Yeah.
There's still fish to be caught now. They finally showed up for the spawn, but that first wave of spawners came in, and now they've moved back out.
So break it down for the people that want to come to Florida and want to experience like a really good time for fishing. And this doesn't just go for Lake Okeechobee, just anywhere in the state. What is that good like spawn time period where you could say more than likely this is going to be the best time you could go out there and catch some bass?
Well, if we have a pretty warm season, February to I'd say late April, early May, that'd be the best time to catch a spawn bite. And if you got the money, you don't really care about, like, you're not one of those fishermen that's like, oh, I only use freaking artificial, or I only use fake bait. I won't use live bait. If you really don't care about that, then you can book a guide or something on Okeechobee. They'll put you on fish. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to do with shiners.
Yeah, these guys know where to go.
Exactly. I mean, one of the best guides I know personally would be Captain Justin Morgan, or there's also Justin Jones is a really good one.
Justin Jones is good. I know him.
Justin Jones is really good. I know Justin Morgan's really, really good. There's another one. Tight Splice Chartles is really good.
He's
Cody
good
Davis.
Too.
I don't know him that well, but I do know of them. They do really good. They're really good guides, and they'll definitely get you set up for whatever you want to do. If you can look them up on Facebook, you can look up Tight Splice Chartles on Facebook. Give him a shot. Just DM him and say, hey, man, I want to book a trip. How do I book it? And look up Captain Justin Jones on Facebook. He'll show up. You can look up Captain Justin Morgan on Facebook. He'll show up too. And all 3 of them are guides that I really know really well.
Yeah.
They're all really, really good.
And if you're a seasoned bass fisherman, I mean, if you got some more experience, I should say, and you're out of state and you want to come to Florida and you want to fish the lakes here, a lot of these lakes offer rentals. So you could go out there, and I think over at Roland's, you could go out there and they have a couple, I want to say they're Rangers or...
Yeah, they're Rangers.
Ranger boats, and they're fully ready to go out there and catch some fish. I mean, you're not going to get no crazy unis or anything like that, but it'll have everything you need to get out there and
exactly
get a line in the water.
Exactly. I mean, And even if you are a experienced angler or seasoned angler, even if you just like want to go to Okeechobee, it's just be like, I want to go catch fish, but I also don't want to take my time and spend the money to on a guide or something. Then my recommendation is take the money that you have and just go fish at BFL as a non-boater.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, go fish one of the opens or something as a non-boater on Okeechobee. They have them all the time. Or go fish it at your own lake. You'll learn so much as a non-boater. As long as you ask questions and you're not a dickhead to your boater,
Yeah.
you'll make it easy. You'll make it so easy, and they'll be like, I when I was a non-boater in the club, I was asking guys, I'm like, dude, why you throw that bait, not this bait? I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just asking, what's the reason?
Just trying to gain some real knowledge.
Yeah, and they're like, dude, oh yeah, I throw this bait because this bait, looks natural with the bottom and it blends in. So the bass tend to eat it more because it blends in with the bottom.
Not a lot of people think about stuff like that.
Exactly. I mean, I would not be able to be as good as an angler as I am. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I would not be a good angler as I am if I did not be a non-boater for a while. I mean, there's times where I'll still go back to being a non-boater to learn more.
Right.
Because, again, you're not sitting there controlling the trolling motor at the front, dealing with the winds, current, stuff like that. So you can actually sit back, relax a little bit,
And just observe.
And observe how the person up at the front fishes, and observe how, why does he do this? And if you ask questions about it, most of these guys will tell you. As long as you say, yeah, I'm just trying to learn some more stuff, dude. They will tell you. I mean, they're not going to give you secret stuff. Right. Unless you're a good friend to them. And I've made a lot of good friendships through that, too. I mean, I've made a lot of good friendships just fishing with guys that back up. Man, I fish good with you. Want to fish tournament? Sure, yeah. Let's do it. You can run team tournaments with them and learn how to fish with them, how this guy fishes with that guy and that guy fishes with that guy. I mean, that's how you learn. That's how you make friendships. That's what's so great about the fishing community is that you learn so much from fishing. These guys, the whole community as a whole will teach you things that, if you are really, really struggling to catch fish, you can reach out to someone and say, man, I can't catch fish to save my life. And make sure it's the right guy first, though, because there are guys that'll go like, oh, dude, I ain't sharing no info.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
I ain't sharing no info, but if you're just like, dude, I just want to go to a place where I can go catch a couple 2-pounders, most guys will say, yeah, just go over here to whatever bay or whatever grass ledge and go throw a trap or a spinner bait or a worm. You'll catch fish. That's why I like the fishing community so much, because these guys will give you info. They will give you what you need.
Yeah, it's very tight knit for sure. Like I said, that goes as a whole for, I think, the whole outdoor community. Everybody's willing to share a little knowledge. Like I said, to just keep it going, keep it alive.
Exactly. I mean, if we don't do it, who is?
Yeah.
If we were just lockjaw about what we know about duck hunting and what we know about deer hunting, what good does it do us? Yeah. Oh, we get to kill what, 10, 12 more ducks per year because we kept that info to ourselves? Yeah. I mean,
knowledge, my opinion, is meant to be spread.
Exactly.
You don't, like you said, you don't have to give out all the secrets, especially when it comes to bass fishing, because you want to have those couple aces up your sleeves. But exactly. You could give out the basics. You could even give out the, intermediate knowledge that could help somebody grow as an angler.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I remember one time there was a girl that followed my page on Instagram. She had reached out and she's like, I've caught plenty of freshwater fish in my life, but it's my dream to catch a peacock bass, and I'm coming to South Florida for a vacation with my family. What do you recommend to throw? And I told her straight up, if you want to catch a peacock bass, match them as best as possible. I told her, go out there, get you a clown-colored jerkbait, and I guarantee you, if you put that in front of a peacock bass's face, they're going to eat.
Yep.
Every time.
Mm-hmm. Peacocks, people think they're hard to catch. It's just hard to find them. That's it. Yeah. Once you find them, they're pretty easy to catch. Unless it's cold, unless that water temp's below 60, they're pretty easy to catch.
Yeah. Once it gets a little bit colder, they're more like kind of almost like lethargic. They don't want to eat anything.
So if anyone out there is looking to go catch peacocks, just know come in spring or summer.
Yeah, come in the hotter months.
Yeah, hotter months. I mean, yeah, I know you're not going to like the heat, but you're going to catch peacocks. That's when, I mean, I've had over 200 fish days catching peacocks.
Yeah.
I've had them where your arm is just like, I hate you.
Yeah.
I think I've had my arm punch me at night.
As far as peacocks go, I'm not sure about how far north they've gotten to at this point. Obviously, like we said, the weather plays a major factor in that. Cold spells will knock them off real quick, so they don't tend to stay in those more northern waters in Florida. If you're looking to catch a peacock, my opinion is go anywhere from Palm Beach County south down to Dade. You could even catch them, I think, Miami. As far south as Miami, yeah.
Yep. They're in Okeechobee now, too. Very little, but they're there.
Yep.
I know guys are to catch them down in Okeechobee. So they're getting up there.
Yeah.
It's coming. I think it's definitely coming. I mean, the cichlids are there. The cichlids are all up in Kissimmee.
Yeah.
They're on Lake Kissimmee. So, and peacock is a cichlid, so I don't think it'll be long till they're up there.
Yeah.
Just got to wait for that one dude to just release a few in the lake. You'll see what happens.
That's how it all started here.
Exactly.
So, Trevor, in regards to Lake Okeechobee, there's been a lot of, I don't want to say rumors and drama or anything like that rotating around in the community, but I think a lot of people have the same feelings about what's been going on out there as far as tournaments as a whole. What's your opinion on Lake Okeechobee right now with all the tournaments going on? Because I want to say there's like freaking 5-6 different series going on out there.
Oh yeah. I hate to say it because I am a tournament angler, but there are too many tournaments on that lake. I mean, I don't know of a lake or any other lake that has that many tournaments on it that many days of the year. There is no other tournament I think that has that many tournaments. There's a tournament out there every weekend. Like right now, tomorrow, I think starts the Bassmaster Elite.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're coming down.
Yeah, Bassmaster Elite starts now, and then next weekend you got King of Glades. Then that same weekend you have another tournament going out that I know of. I forget the name of it. And then the weekend after you have another tournament I know is Bass Busters, I believe. And then you have another tournament, which is Lake and Trail after that on the next weekend.
So there's no weekends off.
No weekends off. So reason why I say this is a problem is because that all these tournaments just what it does. So when people, you have to understand, for people who don't understand this, is that you're going out there to catch the biggest fish that you possibly can. So when people do go out and catch an 8-9 pounder, they put her in the well, and we already talked about this earlier, but I was going to go more in depth now. They catch them, she's in the well for 8-9 hours at a time, and she just kind of goes off, and they let her go, and if she doesn't die, like I think it was 3 weeks back, they had King of the Glades, and they had a whole cardboard box, like 3 foot long, 2 foot deep, filled with nothing but dead bass, all ranging from 6 to 9 pounds. And
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and these fish are in there to spawn. So all those fish are full of eggs, all full of roe, and now that roe doesn't go anywhere. It gets wasted.
It's a waste.
It's a waste of fishery. And yes, Okeechobee does have a lot of fish. I mean, but there's just too many tournaments on that lake. I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen such a downfall of the lake in the last 10, 12 years is because of all the tournaments on that lake. There's just too many.
Yeah, they're just fishing the hell out of it. There's no breaks. The fish are stressed out. The ones that are getting caught, they're not spawning.
If I could honestly limit it, I'd limit it to 2 a month. That's pushing it for me.
Yeah.
I like to limit it down to 1 a month, but 2 a month I'll give. I mean, there's just too many.
Yeah.
I can name you 6 right now that are coming.
Because I mean, other than the tournaments that are going on, every single day on that lake, you're gonna have the casual people out there, the locals that are just getting on the lake just to fish, just to
Yeah.
do what we love,
Yeah, exactly.
getting a line in the water.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But when there's fish being taken, and like this weekend you have Bassmaster Elite, well, they're put out of the north end. There's going to be guys that run down south and they catch a couple of 6-pounders or bring them all the way back up.
Yeah.
And then release them in the river. When they go back, where are they going to go?
Yep.
I mean, they got nowhere to go.
Yeah, they're not making it all the way down to the south end in time to do what they need to do.
No. So they're just going to take those eggs and absorb them as protein. That's what they do. If you read the biology, that's what they do. They just take them and they become protein for the fish. And hopefully that fish lives next year and is able to spawn.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely they definitely got to do something about that. Have you heard anything in the grapevine as far as like captains coming together trying to limit bringing it up to the FWC board or anything like that to limit all these tournaments that are going on? Because I mean that's a little excessive, man. I think you named off like 6-7 freaking tournaments going on just this month.
Yeah, and sadly there's not, because a lot people love tournaments. I mean, we love Olympics, we love, races, all that stuff. So no one wants to bring it up because it's such a sore subject, and no one wants to bring it up because they're like, oh, if we don't limit it to one tournament, I won't be able to fish as many tournaments. I won't have the chance to win that much money. So these guys don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but that's the harsh reality we got to live with, is that there is a problem, and if we recognize the problem, we can come up with a solution.
Yeah.
And people don't want to realize that. They don't want to look at that, and they don't want to say that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back in history, Lake Okeechobee used to be the golden child of the country. Everybody all around the country, all over the world, wanted to come down here to South Florida and fish Lake Okeechobee.
Yeah.
Now you go and you watch these other tournaments that aren't hosting all these tournaments like we have down here. You got Guntersville, you got the Tennessee River, Lake Fork.
Yep.
Let's talk about Lake Fork for a minute. That's got to be the #1 damn bass lake in the country right now as far as weight limits go.
Yep.
They are pulling out some freaking just straight hogs, some bucket mounts out of Lake Fork. That used to be Lake Okeechobee. Now, I mean, like you said, the fishing's still good. You could still hook up on some good double-digit bass, but I mean, Lake Fork. That's like, it's like a normal day. You're catching an 8-pounder out there.
Yeah.
Sad what it's really sad what this lake's come to.
Yeah, it's like back in the day. There's more problems than one to it. Tournament is one of them. I think it's not the main one, but it is a very important one that the anglers have to understand that they're doing. And in my opinion, I think the worst one would probably be spraying. And I know people are it's a really sore subject.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject.
It's a very touchy subject, but spraying has absolutely killed that lake. The way it's supposed to work is when they spray that stuff, they're supposed to go down, and all that poison and stuff that kills that stuff is supposed to go down on the bottom, and the sun's supposed to hit it, and it'll dissipate over time. Well, when you completely nuke a lake like they did at Okeechobee, and there's nothing there to hold back muddy water or protect the lake, that stuff is never going to dissipate because that sun cannot penetrate mud water.
Right.
It'll never penetrate it. So that's the problem. That's the biggest problem with the lake, is that they sprayed so much. There's no more grass left. The only place there's grass left is in moonshine. And if you're in moonshine, you're not getting in moonshine now.
Yeah,
it's got to be high. The lake's got to be super, super high for you to get back there. And it's not high right now. It's coming down, and they're draining the lake, which is a very, very good thing. I know people right now, a lot of the anglers are hating, oh, I can't go here, I can't go there. Well, dude, it need to happen.
Yeah.
Lake's too high, and it's tearing up too much stuff. And if the lake's high, all it does is make less grass for us to fish and less places for the fish to spawn.
Yeah, it's become a serious problem. I remember going back out there, and back when I had my bass boat, or just going back in time, 5-6 years ago, there was grass everywhere on the lake.
Exactly.
It was super healthy. It was thriving. You had the headaches dealing with waste being dumped into the lake as far as like some of the sugar companies and things like that. We had those battles back then, but I've never seen the lake in this condition in my entire life. And I've been a Palm Beach County native. I've been local to Lake Okeechobee my whole entire life, 32 years.
Yep.
Never seen it like this.
No. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to Pelican, and there'd be miles of pepper grass.
Yep.
Miles of pepper grass. And you would take a frog or a Trixie shark and just roll it over pepper grass. And all of a sudden you just friggin' watch 4 or 5 lakes at one time come after your bait. And then one eat it, you set the hook, you couldn't get them out because they ready right down that pepper grass.
Yeah.
And then after all that disappeared, they went down into, you had the hay fields down south. And the hay fields had a big cattail wall in front of it that blocked it off down south. And it was holding back mud. And the hay fields it's all needle grass and with just big pocket holes in the middle. Just big holes in the pads and needle grass. And you'd pitch a Cinco in there and just hold on. I mean,
just wreck them.
Yeah, it was stupid. You would, and the water was so clear then, you would see a little bait ball of fry. You look like a bait ball, but it's just bass fry. Pitch your Cinco in there and watch bass come in there and eat your bait.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was super, super fun times. And then you go up on the north end and you could go and fish high driller or go fish. Then, North Shore used to be the spot for high driller because it had so much high driller. If you really want to go back, see what the lake looked like, go on YouTube and look up FLW 2005, 2006.
Yeah. Completely different world back then.
It's amazing how the lake looked. I forget which one exactly. I think it's 2013 or 2012 is one that I like. The one in 2005, they just had a big hurricane going through. And for anyone that believes it's hurricanes, you can look at 2005, a hurricane that went through, 2 of them actually, and the lake does not look as bad then as it does now.
Yeah, and that's sad.
It's sad. And they're going to say, oh, the hurricanes are done. It's not the hurricanes.
No.
It's spraying, and I can show you videos. If I was to take out on the lake and hit reverse on my trolling and watch that trolling blow up all that muddy bottom, and you look down and you go, that's your drinking water.
Yeah.
It's disgusting when you think about
it.
It
makes you sick to your stomach what they've done to the lake.
Yeah, and it is really, really sad. Another big problem, too, is that we've had, thank God it's getting fixed, but it's high water.
Yeah.
So all that's, like I said earlier, all that spray goes down to the bottom. Well, when it gets rough, that lake is wide open bowl. And for anyone that doesn't believe that lake doesn't get rough.
Oh, I could put that story to rest or that myth to rest right now because I've been on that lake while it's white capping like the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
It gets rough.
I've seen it where I'm like, I've had buddies tell me, they're like, dude, if you ever see it out there in that lake and it looks like marching elephants, don't go.
That's when you know it's bad.
That lake gets rough.
Yeah. I've taken a buddy out there. It was one of his first times. We jumped in my bass boat, and it was just one of those days where it was perfect. And, Florida being Florida, a freaking perfect storm rolled through there. And I'm looking out to the main center of the lake, and I'm like, we got to cross through that to get back south to where we're at because we're down in Palm Beach County, and we're up in Okeechobee County right now. So we got to get south. And he's like, so we're basically gonna die because he's looking in death's eyes out there, and I'm like, just trust me, this boat will handle it good, and we're gonna make it through, and everything's gonna be all right. But it is gonna be fucking rough. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
strap on that life vest, and let's just make it happen. And man, it's.
I've been in some rough shit on that lake, man. I think the roughest I've been in is 6 to 7 footers.
Yep.
Honestly, and I don't know, you know where the pier is on the north end at Lock 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got on a wave with my bass boat, and I got on top of it, and I could see the roof of the pier. That's how, and people who don't believe me, I'm telling you, that's how high I was.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the accident that happened on during the FOW, what was that, 2014?
Yeah.
That was a rough day. I mean, I had buddies out there looking for that guy, and they ended up finding him. They said, dude, I guarantee I was in a wave 14 plus foot, and they're saltwater guys.
Yeah.
So like, They had their freaking baby. They're like, dude, I was scared to hit that wave. And that's something to say. I mean, that lake gets rough. And that's
Yeah, it
what makes
does.
that lake such a brutal lake is that when it's such a shallow lake that there's no rhythm to the waves. Like on the ocean, you have a rhythm.
Yeah.
But on that lake, you'll have 4 or 5 waves in a row. And also you just have one big rogue 8-footer.
Just crash right into you.
Exactly. And that's what makes it a really dangerous lake at times.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the shallow water. So when you hit a wave and you go in the middle, boom, you'll hit bottom.
Rock.
Yep. Or you hit rock. And then you have no lower unit and you're out there just drifting. It ain't no fun, man.
No, yeah, you gotta really know how to navigate Lake Okeechobee because things can go south real quick. I've seen guys out there. I mean, it wasn't during tournaments or anything. Just going out there crappie fishing and just observing people hauling ass. Don't know the lake. Just probably bought a brand new bass bow or just winging it. Hit rock and freaking fly right out the damn boat.
Yep.
I've seen some crazy shit happen on that lake over the years, and man.
And while we're talking about that, please, if you ever run a boat, please wear your kill switch. I don't care how good of an angler you are, always wear your kill switch because your kill switch will save you. I know one of my buddies, Justin Jones, actually got hit by a pelican on a tournament right in the face. And his non-boater, his foot was still on the gas and everything, got knocked out conscious. And he was doing 70-something. I don't think he was doing 70, probably like 66.
That Phoenix gets up there.
Yeah.
I know it hauls ass.
Yeah, it's a Phoenix. That sucker rolls.
Yep.
So, but anyway, yeah. Thankfully, his non-boater didn't freak out, and he just pulled the kill switch because he couldn't get his foot off the gas pedal. But that kill switch, I'm telling you, I bet you that kill switch saves his life because, again, he's the driver. He's knocked out cold.
Yeah.
Ain't no telling where that boat could have drifted to.
Yeah, things can go south fast out there. Kill switch is definitely something that everybody should be running. I mean, that goes for any watercraft, jet ski, boat, anything, because that'll
that
save
has a
your
kill
life.
Switch. Exactly. If you're just running and you just hit a wave there's so many things that happen, especially with a hydraulic steering. If that hydraulic steering goes out, you're going to get flinged out of the boat.
Yep. Always
wear your kill switch. And I know I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a victim of that sometimes too. I don't always wear it, but I honestly need to do it.
Yeah.
I need to do it more.
After listening to this, it's going to be a constant reminder that when you get out there, freaking just wear it.
Yeah. So back to what we were saying about the high water. So the high water gets rough, and when that lake gets rough, it just kicks up all that nasty silt, and just whatever grass is left, if it doesn't rip it up, it puts that nasty pesticide and just crushes it and gets it right on top of the grass and just kills more grass than what it intends to kill.
Herbicide.
There you go. Thank you. Pesticides and insects.
Yeah. Herbicide.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the problem, is that it kills all that grass when it's not intended to kill that grass.
Right.
And, people say, oh, well, we're not spraying, native plants. Okay, well, you spray it in the middle of the lake. So it's just going to kill the native plants.
It's got to travel somewhere.
It's going to travel somewhere, especially people who say there's no current in Okeechobee. I'll sit there and park my boat on a dead calm day, and you'll watch current pull that boat.
Yeah. Trust me, you're not going to sit in one place on Lake Okeechobee. It could be the calmest day out there. A little bit of breeze, you're moving.
Hell, exactly. You're never going to sit still. Never. And that's what, it's really sad. I think it's the 3rd largest lake in the country, and it's probably one of the worst lakes in the country. It's not even the top 100 lakes anymore in Bassmaster.
Nope.
And it's sad. It's really sad. Used to be like number 10, number 2.
Top 10 for sure.
Top 10, and now it's gone. It's not even on the 100.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people listening to this, and they're just going to travel down memory lane, and they're just going to remember the old Lake Okeechobee.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to bring up some very touchy feels.
Yeah,
because it has been an ongoing conversation all around the state, not even just for anglers, homeowners, freaking just everybody really has talked about it a little bit, and they're not doing anything about it.
No.
I think it all comes down to hitting a specific government budget.
Yeah.
spending, all that money, tax riding, all that stuff. It's all just a money game,
Yep.
and they're just ruining the lake. I don't care what anybody says. A lot of people may be a little against that. They may have a different opinion, but I've physically seen what that lake has looked like at one point in time and what it looks like now, and it ain't fucking healthy.
Dude, remember all the ducks that were out there? Ain't no ducks.
No ducks out there.
Only thing that's out there now is divers. Who cares about divers?
Man,
No, but seriously, there's no more life out there. There's none. I mean, there's no more puddle ducks. There's no more whistlers like it used to be. There's still some out there because whistlers are pretty dumb, but
yeah.
other than that, there's not nothing like it used to be. I remember that sky used to get black with ducks.
Yeah. That is where I first started hunting ducks, was Lake Okeechobee.
And now you don't even want to go out there and hunt ducks.
Anybody says, "Oh, we're going out to Lake," good luck.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Have fun shooting one bluebill.
Yeah, that's gonna be the story of the highlight of your day.
Exactly, and it's really, really sad.
Yeah,
it's sad.
I'm glad that people like us got to experience that years ago. It's kind of sad because I have a son. I know you don't have any kids yet, but he's not going to be able to experience the Florida that we experience if they keep this shit up.
Exactly, and that's my hope, is that it does come back, but as we know, it may never come back. I don't think it'll ever be the same because the only way it's ever going to come back, and people are really going to get mad at me to say this, but is if it goes down to 9 foot and someone gets out there and burns that whole lake. That's the only way it's going to get there. Or unless that sun can cook that muck off the bottom. So I bet you it's 3 or 4 feet deep.
Oh, yeah.
And then
if
that sun can cook that muck and then dry it out and create cracks like it did, and then get that seed that's down there, all that hydrilla seed and stuff, and get it to actually sprout, then let the water come up, I think that's the only way you're going to fix it.
Yeah, but the only way that's going to work is consistency. They got to keep up with
nature.
It. And Mother Nature doing her thing. Just don't interfere with it,
That's why I wish I could take all them pump stations they have and just rocket launcher. All of them.
Get rid of them.
Make them spillways. That way it drains naturally throughout the lake. That's what we need. None of this pump station will hold the water back so it can't go down. Do it the way Mother Nature intended.
Yeah.
Go out through the Everglades and the way it's supposed to be.
Lake Okeechobee used to be just fine all by itself before they started adding all that bullshit.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And now it's just become a mess. It's all about money.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
It's very, very frustrating. For us, we experience it. I experience it every weekend. For you experience what, 4 or 5 times a year for sure?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll tell you this right now. I took out one of my buddies who fished the lake 30 years ago and took him out twice. And he says, I don't want to go back. I don't want to be back here.
Yeah.
He's like, this is just sad. He's like, what I used to know back then is now gone, and people don't realize it. He's like, I don't even want to look at this lake. And it's not like he didn't catch fish in the lake. He used to be really good in the lake. He's just like, I don't want to be out here.
Yeah.
This lake just sucks.
Yeah, I took a buddy out. He had just really got hardcore into bass fishing. This was back in 2022, 2023. Really started picking up the rod and getting out there every chance that he got. He would go and hit the local canals along the roads, just getting out there any chance that he got. He would come over here and fish in my backyard because I live on the lake, and he got hooked. And I finally said, let's go to Lake Okeechobee. Let's get into that real big boy water and see what you could do out there, because you've kind of figured out, canal fishing. It's time to graduate. We get out there. This is summer of, I'm pretty sure it was 2022. And
you went in summertime?
Summertime.
Oh, you're trying to kill this kid.
I had to baptize him good, but all of our kids were out of school. We were just trying to basically have a dad's day out and just get away from the fam pretty much. And
yeah,
we get out there, launch out first light down in, I think we're in Pelican Bay to start off. Everything was looking good, throwing a spook, catching a couple 3-pounders. Like, oh shit, this is great, man. Like, this is badass. Because, you know, they're in canal fishing and like 3-pounders.
Yeah.
A lot of the canals are loaded with some pretty heavy fish here, but that was like, it was like a normal, you're catching 3-pounders like nothing.
Yeah.
That's,
and it's summertime in the morning.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how brutal it's going to get.
Yeah. So it comes up to like midday and we're just patrolling around the lake, I think.
The sun's beating down on you.
Yeah.
Ain't no wind.
But I remember getting around towards Slim's Fish Camp, working the Rim Canal.
Yeah.
We start pushing through there. I can't even express how many. I lost count because I started counting when we first got in there how many dead fish there were.
Yeah.
And as we kept working more south around the lake, it was just the most depressing thing ever. And my friend was like, why did we come out here again? Like, what is going on? We were seeing 4-pounders, 5-pounders, 6-pounders just floating on the top of the water, just dead as a doornail.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it was never like this before.
Yeah.
Even during the summertime, it was never this bad. Everything was fresh. The water was dirty as hell. You could see the muck down at the bottom because that sun's blazing full beam at that point.
Yeah. Well, the reason why them fish are dying like that is because they're getting overheated. They're getting hot.
They got no cover down there.
They got no cover.
Yeah.
They got no grass to get under, no shade or anything. The only thing they got is maybe if they can find deep water in Lake Okeechobee, which Okeechobee doesn't have deep water, where are they going to go? Unless they go out in the middle of the lake in some deep hole out there.
Yeah.
Or go in the dynamite hole, they got nowhere to go.
They're just going to sit down there and take that beating.
Yeah. They have no more cover, no more hydrilla to get under or anything. They're just going to have to just do what they can.
Yeah.
And hope they survive.
That's the importance of having all this vegetation, you know, in good spirits.
Yeah.
Once it's gone, it's like these fish don't stand a chance.
No. And the other thing is, too, that I don't understand why they took away the grass, because I understand it for, like, navigational purposes, like in the Rim Canal and stuff. But why they took away the grass in the middle of the lake where no one's going to run, I have no clue. Like, they literally get on airboats where it's a foot of water where no boat's going to ever go and spray that. Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
That keeps your water clean, and that keeps our water clean for our drinking water. You know, why would you spray water and make everything dirty and then have to go down to us in our drinking water?
It's sick when you think about it. The more we talk about it, it just fucking infuriates me.
Yeah, it makes you think that the government's trying to cause problems to save you from. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
I honestly think, I mean, I call me a conspiracy theorist, whatever, but I honestly think they try to cause problems that way they have something to save you from.
Yeah.
It seemed like the hero.
It's sad the world that we're living in, man, that you even got to think like that.
Exactly. I mean, it is sad.
So there's another topic that I wanted to get into, Trevor, regarding bass fishing. And it's been a very, very hot topic in the bass fishing world. And that's going to be, what's your opinion on forward-facing sonar?
Oh, boy. Yeah, you are getting on the really hot subject here. It is awesome technology. It is a very amazing tool that we have. I mean, to watch your bait and to watch a fish come up and eat your bait, it's absolutely amazing. But should it be used in professional bass fishing? That'd be a hell no. I mean, there is no other way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are professional fishermen. They should be able to go find these fish without using the technology, without using that technology. They should be able to find these fish without it. And I hate to be honest with you, but I've seen Bass was saying if they do this, they were asked their anglers, whatever that fish, they said, oh, if we banned forward face sonar, how many of y'all would leave? I think like 50% of the field of the young anglers said they'd leave.
Keyword, young anglers.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were raised up on. That's what they know.
And again, it is awesome technology, but It should not be used in professional fishing. If you are a professional fisherman, I think you should be able to go out to any lake in the country and be like, okay, I can catch at least 5 fish here and figure it out for myself. Not, oh, let me drop my forward facing sonar in the water and, oh, I don't see any fish around. Let me go to this next spot.
Right.
Or let me go to this next dock and see if there's any fish under here.
Because, first of all, for those that don't know, in those big major fishing tournaments, you have different time periods to practice and basically, get the ball rolling in the tournament before you hit into the cutoff times.
You get about 5 days of practice.
Yeah.
So you have time to find the fish.
Right.
So what most of these guys do, and most of the young guys do, let me rephrase, young guys do, is they'll go out and they'll just put on their side scan and put on their forward-facing sonar and go, oh, I see some fish over here on side scan. Now let me see how many fish are over here on forward-facing sonar, because forward-facing sonar, again, is more accurate than side scan.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, I found this deep hole over here, and here's 7 or 8 fish over here, all in this one spot, and they're all over 8 pounds. They can tell by looking at the screen. And it's really sad, and it's not, I mean, it ain't sad, but it's just not fishing.
Yeah.
It's just not fishing. It's not what fishing's supposed to be. It's really not. I mean, it should be just watching guys go out, never been to a lake they've been to before, and watch them go, oh, let's watch Greg Hackney over here skip a jig on our dock and catch 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Or let's watch freaking Randall Tharp over here go and throw a crankbait on a ledge. Or let's go watch Matt Herring over here throw a speed worm or something. I mean, that's how it should be, but these guys don't do that. All they do is just, oh, he's behind it. He's behind it. Oh, he's about to eat it. Oh, he's got it.
Yeah.
And just, it's not fun.
It's a cheat code
Exactly.
at that point.
It's a cheat code.
You could literally see your bait on forward-facing sonar, basically like you're playing a video game.
Yep.
And you could watch the fish hit your bait.
Yep. And I've caught them on forward-facing sonar. I ain't going to lie. I've been with buddies. I've caught them on forward-facing sonar. But I don't agree with it at all. Again, the technology is great. And if you're just an angler that's wanting to go out and just go catch a few fish, all means, all to you. But to use it in a professional fishing tournament, no. It's not. It shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say the technology is cool is because we are finding out with forward-facing sonar that there is fish, the things that we thought, like we used to think, like in Okeechobee per se, we used to think that fish used to sit on reeds and just sit there all day. And just sit there and just sit on the bottom and just not do anything. That's actually not what they do. What they'll do is go to that same reed and they'll kind of just swim around real slow. And then all of a sudden you flip to that reed and he sees that bait and goes over there and eats it.
Yeah.
I've seen it on forward-facing sonar, and that's exactly what they do. They swim around on a certain area, like territorial, and as soon as that bait enters, it's ate.
So you're saying it's good for like an educational purpose. Like
Yes.
you could learn more about
Bass patterns and how
Right.
bass set up deep. But the fish that these guys are catching, I mean, it's really bad because most of these fish that these guys are catching out deep really shouldn't be caught. I mean, think about the bass that if you didn't have forward-facing sonar, like for example, last year on Okeechobee, Scott Martin won fishing the Bassmaster Opens.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on some really, really big fish, but he sat in one spot and he found all these big females on beds with his forward-facing sonar. And he could see them moving around on there just ever so slightly. And he just power pulled down and he kept flipping over there, flipping over there, flipping over there. Eventually, that fish is going to eat.
Yeah, you piss it off enough that it's going to hit.
Exactly. So he'd pitch it over there and he caught her. And he ended up winning the tournament. I think he had like 90 pounds for 3 days or 4 days, whatever it was.
Something absurd.
Yeah, he broke the record for most weight caught in opens, I think it was, in 3 days. So, but again, he would have never caught those fish if he didn't have the technology of forward-facing sonar. And that's where I say is like, if he didn't have the technology, he just went right over it.
Right.
He maybe would have made 2 pitches at that fish. He may have got lucky and caught it if he'd have went back there in the middle of the day.
You never know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he never would have sat there on that fish and kept pitching
and watched it
eat the bait. And just, I mean, and we all thought in the bass community, in the tournament community, we thought, oh, this will never, ever, ever be a player on Okeechobee. We were all dead wrong. We were dead wrong. I think 2022 when Tyler Rivett won the Bassmaster on Okeechobee, he went up the river throwing a jerkbait on live scope. I mean, we never would have thought that would have happened.
Yeah.
But it did, and it happened.
That's crazy.
And that's why, and it really sucks because now to be able to compete in tournaments, you almost have to have that technology. And
you gotta have something to level the playing field, because when you're going up against that, I mean, even if you don't use it all damn day, you gotta do something.
Yeah.
When these guys are producing numbers like that, because you're basically outgunned.
Yeah.
The technology is doing 90% of the work. 10% is pitching that bait out and changing to a different setup.
That's it. That's all it is. And it's not fishing. Fishing, I think, comes from the angler's mind of sitting there and going, all right, you know, I haven't had a bite on this, but I had one bite on this. It was a small one, but let me keep throwing this. Or,
right,
you know, the weather, the moon and everything's setting up a little bit different, or the water's going down, or even with like California Delta where it's tidal. You know, they're going, oh, you know, there's fish are biting on high tide yesterday. Right now it's low tide, so let me just wait for that high tide to pick up. Maybe I'll catch a few fish to stay in this area. Or even I might go to, oh, you know, I fished here yesterday. I had a few bites flipping these few heads. Let me go back to those few heads and see if them fish reloaded themselves. That's fishing.
yeah,
Not going out there and going, oh, I see them on scope. Let me start fishing here for at least 5 minutes.
yeah. You put in some effort. You did your homework. You put in the time to learn the patterns, what's working, what's not.
And it's all just going right out the window.
Yeah,
It's not part of fishing.
people. I hate to say it, but people just want the easy way out.
Exactly.
They want an easy check.
And there's nothing wrong with the people who have won off a forward-facing sonar. I have nothing against them because it was legal to use, and they did use their tools. But I don't agree that we should be using forward-facing sonar in professional tournaments.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And then there's people that do catch fish without it. And then, you
Bobby
know,
Lane, he proved a point this 2 weeks ago. He said, I'm gonna make it a point
yeah,
that you don't need it. I'm not gonna use it this whole entire tournament, and we're gonna see how it goes. And I'm just gonna fish my ass off and stick to what I know, old traditional ways. And he won it.
And Jake Wheeler, who uses forward-facing sonar really, really well, he did it, and he was in top 10.
Yeah, he was like, you know what?
He never
Just to-
turned it on the whole tournament.
Yeah, just to prove a point, I'm not gonna turn it on.
Yeah.
And the guy, like I said, day one, puts up 81 pounds
Yep.
in qualifying.
32 pounds on 5 fish, too.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
So at the end of the day, it's not 100% necessary. It's just one of those things that it became common and it's gotten abused.
Yes, for sure. I mean, the way that it's being used nowadays, it should not be. I just say it should not be being used the way it's being used.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's definitely being abused. And it seems like nowadays, if you do not have it, then you don't have anything.
Yeah, you're basically, if you're going into a tournament and you're going up against a bunch of guys that have forward-facing sonar, you're about to be a donation to these guys' check.
Exactly.
Because you're outnumbered and you're outgunned. You can't beat that technology in a smaller base tournament like what you and I would do.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, it's awesome. You can go to the lake. You can find the best spots of places where we couldn't see before. And it does help. It is amazing, but it's just being abused, like you said.
Yeah, it should just be a tool. It shouldn't be from beginning to end.
It shouldn't be the video game you play to fish.
Yeah.
that's what's sad. It's really sad for it to be used the way it is.
I know on the pro level, I know the previous year, a rookie went in there, a 19-year-old, I forgot what the angler's name was, went in there and wrecked all these vets. Mm-hmm. So leading up into this season, it became a very hot topic because these guys were taken to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, just not necessarily bashing the kid, but basically saying that was the reason why he won, and it became this very hot topic of, this is ridiculous, we need to do something about it. And sure enough, Bass and MLF try to put some regulations into it.
Well, MLF actually put a good regulation on it. You're only limited to 1 period out of the 3. And I think each period's 3 hours. So you have a limitation to 1 period only.
Basically, at that point, though, going back to what I said earlier, you're using it basically to gain some knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you can't use it the whole entire time. Those 3 hours, you better learn what the hell is working and what's not, because after that, you're on your own.
Well, that's the thing that's amazing with MLF. What they're doing is that they're just putting that limitation, and now that keeps people from, just going to find scoping fish.
Right.
Now they have to go in shallow, or they have to go out deep and just say, all right, I did find these scoping fish here, but let me see if I can get lucky and catch a few on a jerkbait.
Right. You got to go back to you're forced into your old traditional ways.
Exactly. And then I think it was the first tournament MLF had this year. They didn't catch them that well. You could see the difference.
Yeah.
They went to a lake that's pretty popular for scoping, and they didn't catch them that well at all. And it's pretty funny.
Yeah, so you can't sit here and say that it
doesn't help.
Yeah, exactly.
It does. It's a big, big, big player. And people who just sit there and go, oh, well, I've been scoping for this long, and, dude, I'm just saying it's not something that it shouldn't be used.
Right.
It just shouldn't be used in that level of fishing. It should be based off of your instincts and your gut feelings of what you think the fish are, where you think the fish are at. Not where, yeah, I've seen some fish here. Let me fish here.
Right. So. I know that you fish a lot of tournaments, and you say, you're not 100% against it. Is that something that you run on your personal boat, or?
I don't have it. If I had it, I would still give you the same. I'd give you the same exact answer every time.
Right.
Because I know guys that have it, and they're 100% against it, but they say, I need it to compete, so I gotta compete.
Yeah.
He said, if I can't compete, then I'm just going to donate my money, and I don't like donating.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys this season, without putting their names out there, I want to say about 4 different guys that basically said the same thing you just said. Last year we got our asses kicked. I don't want that to happen again, so I had to go out and buy this freaking expensive system just to fucking keep up with these boys.
Isn't that crazy? You have to buy a system in order to catch fish?
Yeah.
To say that?
Listen to the way that sounds.
You have to buy $3,000 worth of units and not units, but in technology.
Yeah, transducers, everything else that goes into it
to compete. That's where I say it gets stupid.
Yeah, I'd rather go and put that extra money into my boat. If I'm running the 150, 175, 200, whatever, and I want to go up to a 250 just to keep up with the boys that are hauling ass across that lake, I'd rather put my money towards that.
Exactly. I don't feel like spending $3,000 on units just to go catch fish.
Yeah.
I'd much rather spend that $3,000, like you said, on tackle or something else. Not $3,000 on, I need to buy me some jig head minnows and then go scoping.
Yeah, and play my video game on the lake.
Yeah, exactly. If I want to play video game, I'm just staying at home.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man,
it's brutal.
Yeah, it's. I know it's a touchy subject. I know a lot of people try to avoid it. I know a lot of people that own it that they just don't want to admit to the game that we're playing now.
Yeah, they don't.
It's just the vicious truth. All right, Trevor, I know we were going to keep this show a little bit more gauged towards bass fishing. We came up on an hour, 40 minutes already on that. But I know you're a Florida native. You're an outdoorsman. There's more things that you like to do out there when it comes to the outdoors, and I know hunting's a big one.
Yeah, for sure, man.
What is your what's your favorite game to hunt?
Probably ducks.
Ducks?
Ducks are fun. I mean, God, I mean, when them suckers come in feet first, ain't no better feeling. You know that just as well as I do.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that a couple of times on here, but it never gets old.
It gets hard sometimes though when you shoot at a model, and all three of y'all shoot at a model, and it just keeps going on.
Yeah, I told that story on episode, what was that? Episode 4 with the twins. That was actually you that I was out there with. It was me, you, Tyler,
Yeah.
hunting one of our favorite spots to hunt out here when it comes to duck hunting, and a model came in, and we all thought, we were gonna Chris Kyle this thing, at least one of us, and I swear
We
that
did.
I swear that damn thing had a bulletproof vest. I've never seen so many feathers come off a damn duck.
Yeah, what's crazy is after I hunted with you, I hunted again with my cousin, and he shot a blue wing with number 3s. And I watched it. This is like 10 feet off the water. And freaking, it's low, folds, does the barrel roll, starts going down. Literally 2 foot before it hits the water. Wings up. Pew.
No, you thought it
Gone.
was a sure thing.
Oh, I thought it was going down. Because I knew once it hit the water, it's going to die.
Oh yeah,
Because there's no getting away from us.
no.
And it was literally 2 feet and just open a wing. Parkour.
Those ducks are relentless, man. I tell everybody, it's duck hunting is just, I don't know how to explain it. You just got to get out there and you got to experience it if you haven't, because it's so much fun.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to explain. It is a very, very fun sport. Duck hunting is so fun. I mean, some people don't like getting up early in the morning.
Yeah,
But when you
it's
do,
rough.
and it's when you do get up early, and you get that cold, chilly feeling you get in that water, and then you get out there and you're sitting in the marsh and you're just listening. There's frogs croaking, some gators sometimes,
Yep.
and you're just like, and you can just breathe fresh air, and you're out there all by yourself or with a buddy or whatever, and then all of a sudden and then shooting light comes. And everything wakes up.
Yeah.
That's what's cool.
Yeah.
When that whole marsh just wakes up and there's white birds flying, spoonbills flying, and then
Snipes, a little bit of everything.
And all of a sudden, here comes duck, feet first.
First one.
Pow!
There's nothing like that feeling, man. You definitely described that. I mean, to the T. It's just
Because you don't see that in deer hunting.
no.
You might sometimes.
The woods wake up. You'll get the squirrels moving around, the blue jays, the cardinals, the woodpeckers, all the other local birds moving around. It does become alive. Depending on what part of Florida, when you're deer hunting, you'll hear the frogs,
The tree frogs, yeah.
making noises and stuff like that. But when you're on that water and you see the reflection of that sun, and everything around, it's really like a movie. Everything around you just
All the colors and everything, and then God smiles down on you and puts a duck in your spread.
Yep.
It's just fun. That's when you know you're just out there enjoying God's creation, man.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. And people ask me a lot all the time. They're like, "Oh, what do you like more, deer hunting or duck hunting?" And I can't give you an answer because deer hunting's more rewarding.
Yeah.
Duck hunting's more fun.
A lot of people have asked me, what would you rather shoot? Would you rather shoot like a trophy mallard or a pintail, a crazy species duck?
Yeah.
Or would you rather shoot a 200-inch deer?
200-inch deer.
200-inch deer every single day. So it is a little bit different. It is definitely more rewarding. I mean, looking up at that wall right now behind us with my deer up there, it's like, yeah.
You can sit there and actually look at it and be proud.
Yeah. You put in a lot of work to make that happen. I mean, ducks, you put in a lot of work too, but if you
Not
got
as much as deer.
yeah,
though.
if you got a good spread and everything looks up to par for them, they're gonna come in. They're gonna work.
I feel like if you hunt in Florida for ducks, and if you just if you half-ass the work it takes for duck hunt, you're bound to kill at least one duck.
At least one.
At least one.
Deer?
No.
Yeah, no.
You got to put in full cameras set out. And,
you have to commit.
Yeah, especially
beginning
on
to
this
end.
on these WMAs, these public WMAs.
There's
They are
so much pressure.
hard. These deer are something else. I've seen deer at 20 yards. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shoot him now. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, he's about to hit a clearing. All of a sudden, poof, he's gone. Just disappears in that grass. That grass is so tall down here, man.
Yeah.
It's just brutal. It's that down here hunting in Florida. It can be for deer. It can be just.
It'll humble you quick, real quick.
Yeah, like it did to me 2 years ago. Dude, I was sitting in my stand, opening day of archery, and I'm just like, all right. And mosquitoes are bad. I took my dad to his stand, dropped him off, and I went back further to my stand. And I'm like, all right, so let me get up here. I got my thermocell. I got this, got that. Cool. And then mosquitoes came out thick as fleas, dude. They were bad. And I'm like, all right, cool. I got thermocell. I'm good. Click. What the hell?
Oh,
Click.
man. No butane.
Click. No gas.
Oh, man.
I'm like, oh. And they are eating me alive.
I've had some days where I'm sitting in that tree stand and I'm like, if I don't do something about this, because I can't lie, there's been times where I've been guilty of forgetting my thermosol, which is that should be the first damn thing you pack in your bag
for down
when
here.
you're hunting in Florida. But
Yeah.
there's been some days where I'm sitting in that stand 20 feet up closer to God, and I'm like, these mosquitoes are about to lift me up out this goddamn stand, and I don't know what I'm gonna do if they let me go. I just hope they carry me off to somewhere that's got a soft landing because they're thick.
They're bad. And I remember, dude, I'm just sitting there like, please just go away, please. And this is freaking 5:30 in the morning. I got another at least hour and a half before they go away. And finally, like I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, dude, I should probably go back to the truck or something. I think I ended up taking my knife out and taking out my thermocell patch and taking a lighter and lighting the thermocell patch and just blowing it out. That was the best thing I could do. And it helped a lot, but they were still biting me up. I mean, it was bad. But I did end up killing a deer that day, so it wasn't.
There you go.
I got rewarded, I guess, for going through the torture.
And tell us a little bit about that deer that you got that day.
Yeah, so like I said, I got tortured in the stand, and it's going on like 6:30-ish, and the mosquitoes are starting to dissipate now. It's like, it's about shooting light.
Yeah, they get a little bit more forgiving as the time goes on.
Yeah, and then finally, I'm still swatting a little bit, and I'm at this point. I'm like, I don't care if the world record buck comes out right now. I am going to itch myself. I'm itchy all over. I mean, they bit me in places I didn't think mosquito could bite.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm up there in the stand moving all around. All of a sudden, I look over and I hear something walking, and I'm like, the hell? Freaking big old hog comes out, like 20 feet under my stand. Freaking big old boar hog. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, okay, maybe that's a sign I should stay still. All of a sudden, I look up past him, and I see this deer, like, bouncing around. I'm like, huh, that's a small deer. I don't know. I look, and all of a sudden, he just disappeared. I'm like, maybe it was a doe. But
Yeah.
Just like a doe. 10 minutes goes by. I look back over in that direction, and he's out in the field now. Because before, he's in the back corner where I thought he was just going to go away and go towards my dad. And he ended up coming out, and I'm like, grab binoculars, looking at the binoculars. It's a 6-point. I'm like, huh. And you got to understand where I'm hunting. If it's legal, it's going down.
Oh, yeah. I know. I got a feeling I know where you were hunting.
Yeah.
So them boys don't let anything walk out there.
No.
If it's legal, if it's 4 or better, or if it meets the measurement requirements, it's going down.
It's going down. So, and this is my 4th year hunting with a bow. I've only killed 1 deer with a bow, so I'm like, all right. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this deer and I'm going, is he legal? And again, the grass is tall. Grass is 5 foot tall.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge this deer's antlers off of what I'm seeing.
When you're out there, you second guess yourself a lot. You want to be certain.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there going, and grass is just making them look smaller. I'm like, is he legal? I'm like, I'm not sure, man. And I text my dad, and I'm like, I don't know if this buck's legal. He's like, it's your call, dude. He's like, it's your call. I said, well, if it's my call, I got to report myself to FDC. See if I'm wrong. If it's not, then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
He's like, your call. He's like, I'll support you, whatever you do, but it's your call. I'm like,
either we're signing this ticket or we're walking out of here with a legal buck. Go for it.
Yeah. So there's this bush in front of me about 20 yards, and I ranged it, and I said, you know what? If he comes in line with that bush, I'll shoot him. That's a sign that he's legal. This buck is, again, 60, 70 yards out and slowly
working his way in.
And doesn't get in line with the bush, but walks in front of the bush. I was like, there's a sign right there. Put it on him, shoot him, and I hit him back here, like above the guts. And I don't know what I hit, but I watched the arrow go in. He does a mule kick. I have no idea why he did the mule kick. There's no way I hit the heart. And he goes like 2 steps, 10 yards, runs 10 yards. And it's right before he goes behind a myrtle bush. I go, dude, I fucked up, I fucked up the shot. I go in there, I'm reaching for my damn arrow. I can't get my arrow. My hands are shaking.
Yeah.
And he goes
that adrenaline's pumping.
And he goes behind the myrtle bush. And I go, fuck. He's going to fucking go that way. Because there's a clear-cut path that they go through. Because I've hunted this stand for 2 years now. Once they get behind that myrtle bush, they go straight out.
Yeah.
And they don't cut back over till they're about 100 yards away. And I figured he'd saw me.
When deer are feeling pressured and they know something's after them or they just got hit, they're looking for the easiest escape route.
Exactly. This is a clear cut where he can get gone quick. So I'm like, dude, he's going to freaking run. And it's all water. So I can hear this deer run if he runs. And all of a sudden I just hear, sploosh, 10 yards in front of me. And I go, he just fell. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be silent for a while. 2 minutes goes by and I hear, he's dying. And every time he's so close to me, every time he dies, I see water just going out.
Yeah.
I can see the water just going, because the water was high. So he's literally trying to keep his head out of the water in this moment in time.
Well, this is archery season. So yeah, we're talking straight rainy season down here.
Straight rainy season.
Water's definitely high, depending on what area you're in, especially if you're in an area with a lot of cypress and stuff like that. You're in some deep stuff.
Yeah. So this deer, 2 minutes he's doing his breathing thing, and all of a sudden I just hear him go completely silent. I'm like, I think he died, but I'm not sure. I'm in one of those situations. So I text my dad, I said, dude, this deer I think is dead in front of me, but I'm not sure. I said, he was breathing, but I don't hear him breathing no more. He's like, listen, give him time. He's like, where'd you hit him? I told him where I hit him. He goes, give him time. He's like, you might have got lucky and clipped the liver. And that's exactly what happened. I clipped the liver and clipped the spine. Nice. That's why he only ran 10 yards and died.
Right.
So now I'm sitting in the stand. It is 7:20 in the morning. This deer's down. I text my dad and my brother.
Still early.
Yeah, this is bright and early. So I text my dad and my brother, and I'm like, hey, I got a deer down. When y'all get a chance, get down. My brother goes, I can't. I got a buck in front of me. And then my dad goes, I can't. I got 2 does in front of me. I'm like, son of a bitch. So, because now the anticipation is killing you.
Yeah.
It's just, every minute feels like 10 minutes.
Yeah. When your adrenaline's running like that and you feel like the time's against you, you want that reassurance to know
he's dead.
He's dead and he's down there and I got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was, I sat in the stand. I'm sitting there waiting. I ended up calling my dad like 8:30. It's after an hour. I said, dude, where are they at? He's like, dude, these deer will not leave. He's like, I'm waiting for these deer to leave. He's like, I'm hoping a buck comes out. And I said, dude, we already got a buck down. Don't worry about it. He goes, I'm shooting a deer. And the reason why I waited so long, because he had a pistol on him. And I already told myself, I said, dude, I don't care about the ticket I get, but I don't want a deer running around here with a hole in him and end up and die somewhere and just be a waste of meat.
Right.
So I always wanted him for the pistol. I said, I'll do it if I have to, but I'm not going to let a deer out here suffer for my mistake.
Right, right.
So I seen another 8-point came out at 50 yards. I didn't shoot him. Obviously, I didn't because you can only shoot one. You can only shoot one a day down here. Had another spike come in, and I had a 4-point come by. Could have easily shot all of them. Again, didn't because of the rule. So I'm just like, all right, cool, whatever. My dad and my brother finally get over at 9:45.
Yeah. Almost 3 hours went by.
Yeah. And we come up and I said, give me the pistol. I know where he's at. I said, this is going to be the shortest tracking job I ever had. And we get up there. He's just stone dead, drowned. I hate to say it, but he drowned it in the water. You can see all the bubbles out of his mouth. But we ended up taking him back. He was a 5-point. He had another little nub point here, but
broke off.
No, it was just a nub. Just not even an inch.
Not scoreable.
Yeah, not scoreable. So it was a 5-point. And got him back to the truck, got him out, clipped the liver, like I said, and clipped the spine.
You hit that spine, they're not moving. They're not running far.
And what's crazy is, so the first deer I shot with a bow, which was the year before, sitting in my stand, seeing this deer out, come out about 150 yards behind some does, and didn't see him for 45 minutes. And this would be my first deer bow kill. So I'm just sitting in there watching these does come out, bucks nowhere to be found. And the does started blowing. I'm like, dude, he ran off. I'm like, there's no way. He just ran off. Thinking he caught my scent, something. So I ended up calling my dad, and my dad had shot a buck. This was on Memorial Day weekend, I think, or something. We had the 3-day weekend in archery.
Yeah.
So he had shot a buck on Saturday morning, and we ended up losing that buck. Come to find out, we had walked 10 yards from it, and we didn't see it. It was a really bad gut feeling. And he hit the deer perfect. But, dude, the broadheads he was using were junk. Dude, I mean, we were finding drops and drops of blood. We brought my Beagle out, and Beagle trailed it, and then he just got overheated. It was so hot. So,
yeah, you don't want to overwork your dog and freaking lose your dog on top of it.
Well, this dog's 6 months old.
Oh, yeah.
So he can't. I mean, he can only do so much.
Right.
And he got us another 200-300 yards back to where the deer was. And then he just got done.
Yeah.
I mean, my Beagle's all black. So he just collects more heat than anything.
Oh, yeah, and they're low down to the ground. They're absorbing all that coming off the ground,
And that's what sucked, too, was the grass was laid over. And every time you kicked the grass, it was just like heat ball.
Yep.
Hit you in the face. So I can only imagine how hot he was. So didn't find the deer. We ended up going back to the truck. Got all dehydrated. Didn't hunt Sunday. And then Monday afternoon, we finally went out because we were just dehydrated to hell. We had no waters. All the waters we had, we put on the dog to try to cool him down.
Archery down here, for nobody that's hunted South Florida before, is brutal.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say this, and it may sound biased, but I've got to put Florida as one of the hardest places to deer hunt during archery in the whole entire country.
I've had guys up north from Carolinas and Virginia say, dude, if you can kill a deer out here, you can kill a deer anywhere. Anywhere.
I've had people come down here that have met me on Instagram that are like, oh, I've always wanted to hunt Florida. I want to prep for my Osceola turkey season, so I want to come down here and try to hunt some deer. Okay. You're going to learn real fast. Oh, how bad could it be? Right. All right. And they've come down here, and
they never want to come back.
Most of them don't even want to finish out the weekend that they planned for.
Yeah.
It's brutal. You're talking, just as an example, last April 2024, we were in the triple digits already. We didn't even hit summer.
Yeah.
Archery season, this past archery season, we were triple digits the whole way through with the hunt. And what you got to realize is down here in Florida, our humidity is no joke. We're flirting with 100% humidity almost year round.
Yep.
And that's the difference maker. You could be hot, you could be in the desert, and you're dealing with the dry heat. Down here, this heat hugs you. It tries to take you out. So you're not only going up against some stubborn deer, some overpressured deer.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the heat, man. It's serious.
Yeah. When that sun hits you in that stand, you're just baking.
Yep.
Baking like a chicken. So, anyway, so we end up going out Monday afternoon. My dad gets in the stand. He's like, dude, I see buzzards flying. I'm like, go to them.
That's always a heartbreaker.
Yeah, I said, go to them. I said, at least you'll have the assurance that deer is dead. And,
Yeah.
you
could put this story to rest pretty much.
So he gets up there and ends up, deer had died to the arrow. Deer had died probably within the last, 30 minutes of him being shot. He just ran so far and no blood. That's what happened.
You said it was good placement, so he was out pretty quick.
He was out quick. He just ran so far and just didn't have any blood in him, and all the blood was held up in the cavity. And coyotes ended up getting hold of him, so my dad couldn't harvest any of the meat, which sucked. But
yeah, that's always heartbreaking when it comes to hunting, man. It hasn't happened to me. Actually, it has happened to me. In hunting my Georgia lease, I didn't find a deer until the day later, so I lost one like that. I actually found it the same way to buzzards, but yeah, you feel like it's a waste, but at the same time, you're glad that
it's not running around with an arrow in it.
Right. It's not wounded. It's not out there struggling. It's not basically coyote bait.
Yeah. So he found it. Coyotes got a hold of it. And I'm sitting in my stand. And that morning that he shot the deer, I had seen the same 5-point come around me, but it hung the edge. It never came in close enough for a shot. So this 5-point, I'm sitting there on the phone with him. He's like, dude, I found this deer. I'm like, okay. This is like 7 o'clock. Like it's almost into shooting light. And I'm sitting there talking on the phone. I'm just whispering. And I shouldn't have been talking on the phone, but I was. I'm not going to lie. I was.
It happens.
Yeah.
Scrolling, talking, whatever the case may be.
And all of a sudden, I'm just like looking forward. And all of a sudden, that buck walks 10 yards in front of me. Like, I got to call back. I shut off the phone. I grab my bow, look over, and he's just going, just constant. He never stopped. Never stopped, never took a bite or anything.
Is this still archery season?
This is archery.
Yeah.
And so I just like, he go behind a bush, I stand up, I goes behind another bush, I draw back, goes behind one more, and he comes out and I go, Mah. He's like 40 yards. I just leaned it back on him, and I was at 20 yards. I put it at the top of his shoulder and just eased it off. And it goes, boom. And at first, I'm thinking, dude, I missed. And I seen this arrow go like way up. And I go, dude, I missed. All of a sudden, it lands right in the shoulder.
Oh.
In the shoulder. He does a mule kick, and he runs about 80 yards and never left the field.
What kind of broadhead were you shooting?
I was shooting, that's a funny story, too. So I had got a broadhead because the day before, on that Friday, that afternoon, I got out on a hunt. I had shot at a deer at 30, a 6-point, and I missed it. I shot under him. So I got these broadheads from my buddy, and I don't know what they are. They're some old school broadhead. And freaking, he's like, dude, try these things out. He's like, just shoot a pig with them or something. See how you like them. He's like, I got them for free. So one of the guys that I know bow hunted, he's like, they're really good. He said, I took them, I sharpened them up and everything. They're all really, really good broadheads. I'm like, okay. So I took them because I didn't have many broadheads. And he's like, and so I ended up shooting the deer with them without even realizing it. So I just knocked in the arrow and just let it rip. And this thing hit him in the shoulder. He runs 80 yards, and there's one tree in the middle of the field. And he goes behind the tree, and I just hear, just
tips over.
And I didn't see him tip over, though. Only thing I heard was him crash. And now I called my dad. I said, Dad, I just shot a deer. He goes, okay. He's like, how far was it? I said, he's 40 yards. He goes, get the fuck out of here. I said, serious. He was 40 plus. So
that's a hell of a shot with a bow.
So he's like, I said, but I don't know how good the shot is. He goes, like, why? I said, because I'm seeing about 3/4 of the arrow sticking out of him. He goes, where'd you hit him? I said, I think in the shoulder. He goes, oh, no. He goes, fuck. So he gets over there, and we're looking for blood. And at this point, by the time he got over there, it was dark. So we're looking. All of a sudden, we find where I hit him, and it's just like Like if I cut your throat and just freaking went,
Oh yeah.
it is sprayed. And all of a sudden, we just keep going where his route was, and there was so much blood that we were getting confused of which direction he went.
God damn.
It looked like I had taken my wrist and just went everywhere. It was like a murder scene. And sure enough, we got him this one point where he had turned.
Good blood like that, you had to have done something.
Yeah. So we get up there and we get on this point where he turned, and it's like, again, this is one of the spots where there's so much blood. We don't know where the hell he went. I end up finding the arrow broke off, and it's like that much, maybe 6 inches went into him.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I don't know how far in the shoulder it really went in. It could have went in this far, and he might have really broke off a piece somewhere else, Well, ends up getting in there, and we go to where he fell, and we found the blood trail again and got to where he fell, and he's just dead. Ended up gutting him out. The broadhead was in the middle of the heart.
Sunk through in the pump house.
Right in the middle of the heart.
Nice.
And it put it completely broke that shoulder that I went through, broke the leg completely.
Your buddy wasn't joking when he said he sharpened those broadheads.
It broke the broadhead, but I didn't care.
Hey, at that point, it did its job.
It went right through the shoulder, 6 inches in. Would have went out the other side of it and hit the other shoulder. Like you could see where it just poked through. I mean, it was insane.
And this is your first archery deer.
Archery deer.
What a hell of a story, man.
And this is the year I practiced my 40-yard shot. But
when it mattered the most. It's a good thing you did, because that deer, it's like you walked in on a string right to where you were comfortable.
Exactly. I mean, I always, I got the adjustable pin, so I put it at 20. I said, and I practice at 20 with my 40, or I practice at 40 with my 20, just in case of that situation. So I knew right where to put it on that deer to make it sink in.
Are you running a single pin or
single pin?
Okay.
Single adjustable pin. And I got it all the way from 20 to 60, I think, now. So, yeah, adjustable pin has made my aim go way up. But, yeah, when I say deer hunting or duck hunting, I tell you, deer hunting's more rewarding. That feeling.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, telling that story right there still gives me goosebumps to this day.
I feel like I was there because, I could just picture being in those Florida woods and just, I could picture what you saw and what you experienced, and man. There's nothing like public land hunting and getting that trophy that some men, I mean, I know some older gentlemen that have been hunting Florida for 30, 40 years. Some of them have harvested. Some of them are still trying to get that freaking trophy public land buck to this day, and they just haven't been able to seal the deal.
I'm still trying to get it. I've had so many chances at it, man, and I've only messed it up once, but I'm still looking for that trophy buck, and I've seen more than most people will in their lifetime down here. I can't say their lifetime. I probably have their 10 years of hunting down here.
Yeah.
And it's just everything has to go just right.
That's everything. What a lot of people don't understand. Like, I always like repeating this saying that my buddy says, the deer have to be lucky all the time. We only have to be lucky once. And that is so true. Like, every time I'm out hunting, I repeat that phrase in my head. Like, I just got to be at the right place at the right time, the conditions to be in my favor, the wind to be working the way it needs to work. None of that swirling bullshit.
No.
Just doing its thing.
Yeah, that's the problem with me. I always get in that swirling wind.
Yeah, man.
Every time. I mean, I had 2 years ago, as close as I came, I had a deer right at shooting light, man. Big old 8-point, if not bigger. And it's crazy. I was sitting there walking down this ditch bank, walking back to the truck, and I'd seen a few deer that day, nothing crazy. And I just look out in the field, and he's sitting there feeding. And I'm like, oh, shit, that's a buck. And I look, and he's about 150 from me. And
so he's 100% legal to shoot
at
that point.
Oh, yeah. I could tell it was a legal buck at that point, and then I could see his rack from where I was, and I'm like, "That's a big buck."
Oh yeah.
I said, "That's a big buck," and I'm like, "All right, I can't get closer to him because there's a big ass canal in between us." I said, "How the hell am I going to do this?" And I grunted at him with my grunt call. He just picked his head up, kind of looked around, didn't do shit, and I don't have a snort wheeze on me, so I just did the best I could, and I did it with my mouth. And dude, this buck, I have never seen it again in my life, but this buck just picked his head up, did a 360, looked back at me.
And said, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah, and got, like, you could see him, like, puff out his chest, pick up his head, and just look. I did it again, and this fucker started running to me. Not like full sprint, but just...
He was curious.
Yeah, and he was pissed. Like, you could...
It's like, who the hell thinks they're the shit out here? I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them who's boss.
So I'm sitting behind this bush, and this buck is just coming at me. Nonstop. I mean, just... And all of a sudden, he just got to 30. And it is getting... Like, I seen his buck at 7. And it is... And I think it was like 7:10 was like the end of shooting light. And it took him the matter of 2 minutes to get over there. But the way he faced me, I was waiting for him to turn. So I sat there for like 5-6 minutes waiting for him to turn. He never did. And I grunted at him. I did everything to try to get him to turn. I tried doing snort wheeze again to make him do the freaking little turn, and he didn't do it. He just sat there and just kept like this. Kept moving his head back and forth, trying to look behind that bush. And finally, I said, fuck it. I freaking drew back. I drew back.
What's the worst that could happen?
I thought he was at... I ranged him before, and he was at 30. Well, what I didn't know is he took like 10 more steps and came to 20. So I had him on 30, and I peeked out right over his back.
Oh, man, that's heartbreaking.
But I say that, and I'm also glad I didn't hit the shot, because as soon as I shot and he took off, the rain came down hard. I don't think I would have found him.
Tracking that thing would have been
impossible.
Yeah.
So, again, that's one of the things I'm like, it sucks.
It wasn't meant to be.
It sucks, but glad I didn't shoot him and then him end up dead somewhere.
Yeah.
So
you would 100% needed a dog, and even a dog would have struggled with that.
Exactly. Even if I'd hit him perfect, if I wouldn't hit him in the neck or something, he would have ran somewhere.
Yeah.
He was a big body deer too for down here. He had to be 160. He's big.
People could say whatever they want about Florida deer. I've seen some fucking monsters down here.
Well, yeah, my dad's killed a 142-inch 11-point down here on a WMA.
Yeah. So
and it weighed 180 pounds.
Just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
That's not a small deer. I mean, you know, earlier we said, you know, it would be great to kill a 200 class, 200-inch deer, but that's not normal.
200-inch deer is not normal anywhere.
Anywhere. I don't care if you're in Ohio,
unless
Iowa,
you're in Canada.
That's not normal. You're not walking around and seeing 200-inch deer just walking around casually. I don't care where you're at in the country.
I don't need none of y'all high fence hunters to say anything.
Yeah, exactly. That don't count.
That don't count.
That ain't real hunting. No, that's another topic. That's another topic for another day, because that's a heated one. But to each their own. You got the money and you want to blow it on freaking killing a high fence deer, you go for it.
Yeah, I'm just saying it ain't gonna count.
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't hard sitting in the sand and going, oh, shoot that one.
Yeah. Oh, there goes Leroy that we've been breeding and freaking taking in and out of the pen for 5, 10, however many years.
Yeah. He's got a tag in his ear. See that tag? It says 718. Yep, that's him.
Yeah, don't shoot his brother behind him, Goliath. That's for our other client. That's going to pay triple the price.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think duck hunting, like deer hunting's more rewarding. Duck hunting's more fun. And people say, well, how do you know duck hunting is not rewarding? It is rewarding. And you know that.
Yeah, if you're after a certain species, I won't even go and say that. There's species that I've knocked off, and I've killed the same duck multiple times, but every blue moon I find a blue wing, I find a green wing that just has some beautiful characteristics where I'm like, damn, this could never get old.
Dude, last
That's
time of the
rewarding.
season, I killed a blue wing. Just fully plumed. All the checker on his, that brown checkered.
Yeah.
Had purple all on it. Just beautiful bird.
You can't beat that.
Yeah. But you also, the one I killed last year, though, or the year before was.
The band?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear about that, man. You told me a little bit about that, but I didn't get the full story.
Yeah, that one was.
People, I just want to put this out there. Duck hunt. And some people go their whole entire lifetimes I've never, look at my lanyard right behind you. I don't have a single band on there. I've never killed a band. Some people will go their whole entire life duck hunting and never kill a band.
Yeah.
So kudos to you. How many bands do you have now? 2, 3? 2? That is fucking amazing.
Both blue wings and both in the same spot, too, that we like to hunt.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But, yeah, the first one was a pretty shitty duck hunt. I'm not going to lie. Probably the worst one of the year. I mean, we were sitting there and got out there a little late. We got on stand. I had a permit. And we had 6 guys on top of us. Like, right on top of the spot that we picked by the time we got there. So we had to set up all the way in the back where we knew the flyway wasn't. And
the odds are pretty much against your favor at that point.
Completely against us. And then we get set up at 4:30ish, something like that. Whatever time it was. Kind of like when we got set up the other day.
Yeah, it was early set up on that one.
It was super early. And then we're all getting our stuff together. It's going on like 5:30ish, and all of a sudden he goes, "Dude, I forgot my gun." One of my buddies. I go, "What?"
How far was that paddle out?
He goes, "I forgot my fucking gun." I'm like, "Oh, fuck." And one of the guys that we knew was in front of us duck hunting. So he's like, "Dude, I forgot my gun." He goes and tells him he knew he was friends with him, goes in his truck. They run down back to where he launched and grabs the gun and comes back and picked it up and got back just in time for shooting light. So we're sitting there and there's 2 models that come over us and that's it. Early morning. This is first thing, like you can just see the silhouettes of them. That's it.
Yeah, because like you said, you're dealing with 6 other guys freaking hunting the same area. So you basically have
6
to
other groups.
Oh, God. So 6 times 3, you're talking 18 people.
Yeah.
And
Hunting a place is as big as a freaking pond.
Yeah. So you had to basically take what you could get at that point.
Yeah, and then the guy that took my buddy and got him his gun, dude, they're sitting there whacking pintails. They ended up killing a 6-man of pintails.
That's insane.
And I'm like, huh. Well, we're sitting there just sitting, I guess. We're not really hunting.
Yeah.
And then it's like 10 o'clock-ish. We've killed 1 blue wing. And my buddy, he ended up just sitting in the canoe because it was just so slow. We were watching. We had a few pintails come over the spread. And I didn't know how to hunt pintails back then like I do now. I didn't know that you can't look up at them. Yeah,
the slightest bit of movement with pintails, they could spot anything, man. They've got some of the I don't care what anyone says, pintails got the best eyesight in the duck world by far because it's insane what they could spot.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't know that you don't look up at them. And I'm sitting there, we had like 2 or 3 do it. And I'm like this, just looking up, like just such a newbie thing to do. But I didn't know that at the time. And I watched them land, like sit there and just hover over the spread and all of a sudden go 400 yards that way. It's like, damn. So then my buddy's sitting behind me and he's just sitting there watching. And he says, hey, and he's got a better view on the right side. He's got this like little cut between the cattails to see. He's like, hey, right side, be ready. And I'm on the right side. I'm like, okay, I'm just sitting there, and I see him. I go, boom, clip the male, boom, boom, shoot the female. And I seen the male drop, and I just jumped on the other bird. I didn't pay attention to where he dropped. I'm like, I knew he was dead. He just folded right up. So I get out, and I start looking for the male. The dog takes off on the female, and because I think I ended up crippling her. I didn't kill her. And so we get to I'm looking for the male. My buddy comes in behind me that told me about him. And I ended up going past him. I didn't realize it because I was trying to get him fast.
Yeah.
I was just looking. He goes, dude, it's a nice drake. I'm like, yeah? He goes, yeah, it's a nice. He says, dude, this is the best drake you ever killed. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. He said, this is freaking beautiful. And he picks it up. He's like, dude, look at the colors on it. And all of a sudden, he just moved it slightly, and that band's just hanging down from that sucker's leg.
Oh, man.
And he goes, you just fucking banned it. I'm like, what? And he's been duck hunting for like 8 years at this point. Never killed a band. And he's like,
see what I'm saying?
you fucking lucky. Dude, he started cursing me. I was like, you fucking suck. You know that? And it was just a beautiful freaking band. I mean, once in a lifetime bird. It was 8 years old. Had all the plumage, all the colors, everything. Had the pink, had the purple on the head, a little bit of purple on the chest.
Was this late in the season?
Yes, this was in January.
I tell everybody, man, those
This
late
is
season
like-
ducks.
I think it was like the second to last weekend. Crazy. So that's how I killed the first band, and we only killed 3 ducks that day. Just a
That one band
Made the whole hunt
was
up.
worth more than those 6 other groups that were out there, whatever they killed.
Oh, the one group killed 6 freaking pintails, and the other group killed, and then they killed like a couple whistlers and full of us. They had a hell of a bag.
But were any of them banded?
Nope.
See what I'm saying?
Oh, what's funny is they were sitting out there, and they're like, we come by them, and we're paddling out. They're all packing up. They ran a spread so big, bigger than any spread me you've ever ran. They ran like a 10 dozen duck spread, freaking huge. But when you have 6 people, you can do that.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, and they're packing up all the decoys, and we're paddling out. They're like, what'd y'all kill? I'm like, nothing, just band. They go, what? And I'm like, yeah, I killed a band. But what's crazy is this band was 8 years old, and what made it crazy is that the band was so old that you couldn't see any of the numbers. It was just silver and just nothing on it.
So how were you able to identify it when
You
it came
could
time
see
to check it in?
So you could see a few numbers, like make out like 2 or 3 if you looked at it just right. I mean, I took a phone light to it, and you could just see where the old stamp was.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, dude, this is brutal. I'm like trying to look at it. So I ended up telling the check station guy, because they always got to write down the numbers. And I just told him what I could see. And I ended up going home that night or that morning and looking up ways to see it. A lot of my buddies told me, oh, you got to send it off. And, if you send it off, they'll send it right back, but you got to request that you'll get it back. And he's like, I've had problems with my bands that don't come back. I'm like, dude, I'm not sending my band off.
Yeah, no.
I don't trust it.
This is a once in a lifetime to some, but
Yeah.
clearly a 2 times in a lifetime for you so far.
Well, no, what made it a once in a lifetime is that it was just a beautiful drake bird.
Just perfectly,
all colors, all plumage, everything. So that's why I say it was just once in a lifetime. That's why it's once in a lifetime for me.
right.
I don't think I can't say anyone, but I don't think a lot of people who
Anyone
kill
you
bands
personally know,
Yeah.
at least.
will kill a band that beautiful with that much plumage. That's the reason I put him on the wall within the first 2 weeks of killing him. I mean,
Worth it.
yeah. So when I got home, I think the next day, I looked up a video, and there's a guy dumping it in like hydrogen peroxide, and it just kind of eats away the metal a little bit and alcohol
Enough to at least identify.
to at least see the numbers. So I ended up just dipping it once, and I could make out just a little bit of the numbers. And I ended up getting the band. It was 8 years old, Saskatchewan, Canada. Freaking
Nice.
beautiful bird.
Just take a minute to think about that.
20,000 miles on that bird.
20,000 miles that bird flew. And
Back and forth.
to all parts of the world. You don't know if that bird flew to Florida every single season.
Yeah.
He just happened to be in Florida when you rolled him that day. But it's like,
Well, what's crazy is we have teal that come from other places like Saskatchewan, or not Saskatchewan, but Ontario.
all
and
over.
All over. We have birds that come together. But what those birds will do is sometimes Saskatchewan birds and Ontario birds will link up. And again, he was a male, and he was with a female. So she was probably from Ontario or something. When he linked up, he came in her flight path
Yeah.
to follow her. So that's what's crazy.
There's so much that goes into it, man, that just makes that moment so much more special.
Exactly. And then the other band was just like, eh.
Yeah.
Because the other band, again, this was a better hunt than the first one, but I was shooting like shit. I sucked. I mean, you've seen me shoot. I shoot, I think, pretty decent.
Hell yeah.
But I went through 2 boxes of shells for frickin' 4 birds. I sucked. I just had one of those days where I'm just like,
It happens, man.
I was bad. So I ended up shooting a couple ducks, and there's this 6-pack that I see just cup up, and they're cupping right into the spread. Well, I'm on the far left side because you put your best shooter on the left side, and the other guy I'm with, he was typically a bad shooter. And then you had Tyler on the other end. Well, apparently he took my skills the night before. So,
Tyler's a pretty good shot.
yeah, but I'm not talking about Tyler. I'm talking about the guy that I had with my cousin.
Guy.
So these 6 ducks land like this, with like one duck landing out furthest to me, and it's all on the left side. So I'm like, y'all want me to shoot these ducks? They're like, fucking go for it. What are you doing? So I'm like, all right. And I've been shooting bad. So I take my time. I pull up on this duck that's right in front. I shoot him. Whole pattern covers up the bird. He gets up and tries to fly. I shoot him out of the air. He falls. And he's still running around in the water going in circles.
Yeah.
Trying to go in circles, starts diving up and down. So I go to shoot him again, and it goes click, and watch the BBs roll out of the barrel.
Oh, man.
And I go, fuck. Well, then I'm like, I'll just throw another shell. I go to eject, and the wad had got stuck in the shell. So I'm like, fuck. So I tell my buddy, I'm like, give me your freaking gun. I got to shoot this duck. It's like, use your. I'm like, dude, my gun's jammed. I'm like, give me a gun. Shoot the duck. Boom, he dies. Okay. Now it's time to go pick up birds. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Get to that bird, and I'm walking up there.
You kept your eyes on the one that you hit.
Yeah, we all kept our eyes on it. And it was kind of like in my lane. Like, you couldn't claim any otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'm walking up to that bird, and I'm going, I'm like, imagine this one had a band on it. I'm just thinking it in my head. I'm not saying it. I'm just like, imagine this one had a band on it.
Spoke it into existence.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say it, just in my head. I'm like, imagine this one had a band on it. I get up there, pick it up, I'm like.
That was this past season, right? Man.
And I pick it up, and I'm going, hey, are we all in agreement I shot this bird? They're all going, yeah, why?
Why would he ask that?
Yeah, and all of a sudden I'm like, it's fucking banded. They're like, dude, no way. I'm like, I'm serious, dude. He goes, man, what the fuck? That's your second one. I'm like, whatever, dude, and I'm happy. But it happened to be a male, and it wasn't as cool, but it's still, a band's a band in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was it wasn't even a year old. It was banded last year or this year in Ontario, Canada. And what's crazy is so
you got a Saskatchewan and you got a Ontario. Nice.
And they're both males. So what's crazy is that I killed one in Ontario. My buddy killed a ringer in Ontario, from Ontario, and the same exact guy. And then another one of my buddies.
That band of the ducks?
Yeah. And then another guy killed another one from the same exact guy.
Wow.
So we got someone banding ducks that's serious about this stuff.
He's die hard out there in Canada.
Yeah. He's banding ringers, tail, everything.
Everything.
It's crazy.
Man, there's so much that goes into it, man. I mean, the banding process, the preparation time between the hunters and, putting in the homework, putting in the time and effort when they're out there in the field. It's just, people take it for granted. They think it's, I feel like a lot of people think it's easy. They could just go out there and get it done.
What, for ducks?
Yeah.
Hell no.
That shit ain't easy.
Dude, we're up at 10 o'clock at night, having to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. We're stupid. We're stupid.
I remember that it wasn't the Saturday that you and I and Tyler went. It was the Sunday that you and I went. We were like, we were sitting there. It was a slow day, slow morning, and we were like, Why do we do this again?
Yeah.
It ain't. It's
brutal.
not for the weak, man. It's really not for the weak. And where we went is a hot area, but either they're on or they aren't. And
Exactly.
2024-2025 season was an oddball season as far as weather goes. There was some weird things going on there.
Weird. It was beyond weird. I mean, the ducks, like at my house, I usually have woodies show up and stuff. No, the woodies just now showed up.
Yeah, I was sitting out back before you got over here, and I was just looking out into the lake. I couldn't tell you how many flocks of ducks flew past here. I had whistlers flying by. I had a couple models fly through the backyard because I have that stretch of the lake it's like a landing strip for them. So I see all kinds of different species just fly through there all the time.
They got snow geese now up in North Florida now. They just now got them. Like, the flight this year is so late. I don't know why, but
FWC, if you're listening to this, extend the season.
take away November.
Take
go
away November and give us February, please.
Give us February. If we got February, there'll be so many ducks killed.
Yeah.
So many more ducks killed.
They're flying so good right now, and I say it every year. Watch when season ends. I'm going to sit in that backyard, and I'm going to observe the same thing I observe every year. It's heartbreaking.
No, what's heartbreaking is when you sit there and you see ducks laying 20 feet in front of you, like, I can't shoot you. I wish I could. It's like my grandpa on Jupiter Farms. He feeds them, and he's got like 2 banded wood ducks back there, and they show up every day.
Yeah, I got a mallard that just sits in the backyard, and there's a hybrid back there, and there's a purebred, and that purebred, he'll just be prancing around. I mean, right on my bank, right where I fish, and I'm like, you lucky son of a bitch, because if this was season, your ass would be grass.
If it was season, I'd shoot his ass too. Pow!
Because technically, Lake Wellington is connected to a boat ramp, and that is legal waters to shoot. Just saying.
It is.
But I'm a nice guy, so he lives to see another day.
He's just hoping that one day that mallard just fucks up and goes right over every duck hunting.
If I see a band on that guy, ever, he's gone. Sorry, buddy. If you're listening, if you tune into the podcast, Mallard, your ass is grass if you got a band on you. Just saying.
No jewelry for you.
No, none yet, but it's coming one day. I could feel it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna come. I think it's all about luck, dude. It's just how lucky you get. Like, I've had buddies who take out. One of my buddies took out his dad for a first time. Never duck hunted a day in his life, and they're shooting ringers. And he's like, He goes out there, retrieves his duck, whatever. He's getting videos of his dad retrieving ducks. I think his dad's like 50 years old. Father-son time.
Yeah.
And his dad gets out there, gets the duck. He's like, yeah, this thing's got like a weird thing on its foot. He's like, I don't know what it is.
Oh my God.
He's like, I shot this duck. He's like, it's weird. He's like, I don't know what the hell this damn thing is. He's like, all right, I'll look at it in a second. And he didn't think anything of it. He didn't think he could be no bait.
Yeah, just some grass or something on its leg dangling.
He's like, because his dad didn't say it's like this weird thing on its foot. He's like, something weird with his duck. That's all he said. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, is the color different? He's like, no, it's just something to do with his leg. He's like, his leg feels weird or something. But it looked weird is what it was. And he's like, I'll look at it in a second. So he calls in a couple more ducks and he goes over there to take a piss. He's like, where's this duck at? He's like, oh, it's in the center hatch or whatever. Female ringer, he's banded. First duck, he's like, dude, it's a fucking band. He goes, what the hell's that? And I'm like, dude, you have no idea. He's like, I hadn't even killed one of these yet.
The odds are so slim of that happening. Like, I remember when the twins were on here, we were talking about like first timers. They taken out a guy that got a limit on his first time out duck hunting. My first time duck hunting, I killed 3 ducks.
My first time duck hunting, I went with some buddies because I got in duck hunting through them. I was 16 when they took me out. We killed a limit of teal and early teal. So,
but to go and say you got a band on your first hunt, that's next level, man. That's next level luck right there.
It shouldn't even be allowed because you're not going to have appreciation for when you actually do kill one.
Yeah, once you get another band, you're like, oh, I already got one of these. My first duck was banded.
Yeah.
Whatever. Unless it's like a species that you're planning on mountain, then it's like, all right, it's a little special.
Especially being a ringer, someone's gonna look at it and go, "That thing's ugly."
Yeah.
Because they think of a mallard. Oh, mallards are so pretty, or a wood duck so pretty. And you see a ringer, it's just female ringer, it's just plain Jane.
Yeah.
But if I shot a banded ringer, I'd be mounting that sucker in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think he ended up mounting it for his dad, and his dad was like, "I don't want it. You can keep it in your house."
Okay.
Exactly.
Hey, that's a father-son memory right there.
Exactly.
Talk about that for the rest of your life.
Remember the time you killed that band on your first duck hunt ever? Like, yeah. Like, and his dad's probably gonna go there because his dad is really competitive too. His dad likes to make fun of him a lot. He goes, like in a fun way. He goes, "Yeah, you still ain't killed one yet, have you?"
Man, that's definitely something you could brag about right there for sure. God, the day's coming for me. Luckily,
it's all about luck of the draw, dude.
Where we hunt is a very common place.
Oh yeah,
to
my
kill
buddies
some
killed
bands.
one early teal.
If I'm gonna kill a band, I feel like it's gonna be in that area.
See, I know one of my buddies. He's killed 5 of them down here. He's killed banded mottle, banded bluebill. I think he's killed banded ringer, banded teal, and I think a banded woody. He's killed 5 down here within like last 8 years.
That's
and 3 of them he killed 2 in 1 year, and he killed 3 within a matter of 2 years.
That's insane. That's like, you tell that guy to go play the lottery because he's got some luck on his hands.
He freaking, yeah, for sure. He is lucky. That's for sure. He's killed a lot. He kills a lot of ducks too. I got to give him that. He's a really good duck hunter.
When it comes to the people that put in the work, I'm like, you deserve this.
Yeah. It's like my buddy told me, he's like, when I killed my second one, he goes, "You've killed 2 bands, and I've killed 10,000 more ducks than you, and I ain't killed one yet."
Just imagine the burn that guy feels seeing you pull in your second band.
And then he ended up killing one like 2 weeks later. He killed the female ringer.
He finally got his.
He killed a female ringer.
Good for him.
I'm like, I killed a banded teal though.
I got the prettier duck.
Yeah, but he was happy with his ringer though. He was definitely happy.
Man, we covered some pretty good topics. A lot that I feel needed to be brought to light.
Yeah,
and I feel like there's so much more, so many other stories that we could just go down memory lane on, man. We got to get you back on here for sure at some point.
We're gonna have to,
because there's a lot more we could talk about. We're coming up on the 2 hour and 40-minute mark here, but we'll save the rest for the next episode, man. I appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you inviting me on here, man.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's not going to be the last time because there were some things we talked about before the show happened, and that's got to make it on here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, everybody. This is Ron Legal at Ron Legal Outdoors, and Trevor, give everybody your Instagram handle.
Native_cracker.
There you go. You guys got it. And we are checking out, and we'll catch you guys on episode 7. Catch you later.